Let's see. Kaleido No Scope says, "Hi, is it possible to balance learning multiple skills each day? I really want to learn 3D art and music." Yes, it is. Keeping you company. There you go. Keeping you company. It is possible, Kaleido No Scope, but there's a very famous quote, right? You probably have heard this. Actually, it's a full quote. Let me go full camera here because it's a very full quote that says, what is it? Jack of all trades, master of none. Have you heard that quote before? I recently discovered that that's not the full quote, so it's very interesting. It says, Jack of all trades, master of none. It's again, like the basic, like figure of speech. And it says, oh, if you're trying to, like, cover too much things, you're never going to be a master in any of those things. But, here's the full quote. Where is it? I had it right here, full quote. There we go. But oftentimes better than a master of one. Okay, so that's the full quote, right? Jack of all trades, master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. So, very interesting, right? I really like the full quote rather than the simple one, because on the simple one, it sort of like tells you should not try to master everything because you're not going to be like good at anything, right? But then he actually like turns it around and says, no, it's fine if you master a lot of things. Just keep in mind that you're not going to be a master of any of them. You're going to be really good at a lot of them, but not a master of everything, right? I actually personally follow that sort of like approach. I've said this before. I consider myself to be a generalist because I can do a little bit of everything in the 3D production pipeline, but I have, of course, a sort of like tendency, or I really like doing specific parts such as modeling, texturing, and those kind of things. But in my time right now, for instance, for the project that we're doing for the museum, we're doing programming, we're doing music, we're doing animation, we're doing rigging, like a little bit of everything. Am I a master at those skills? No, definitely not. But I can do a little bit of everything, and that, again, gives me a little bit more flexibility. So if you want to pursue that sort of like route, Kaleidoscope, that's fine. Again, just be very honest with yourself and understand that someone who decides I just want to do 3D or I just want to do music will be better than you. If you're fine with that and you're okay with that, perfectly valid. Perfectly valid. So, yeah. Let's go here. Oh, we're about to start. Let's say, we got David here in the chat as well. Hello, David. And yeah, I was trying the UV passes yesterday, Vector Draw. Really good, really nice. I mean, it's UV Master, so if you know how to control it in the PC version, you can get some really nice results. The only thing I don't like is that because I tried this. I tried taking one of the things that I did in Silver for iPad into Procreate and like painting or doing something. It's not really working, right? So we don't have a super strong texturing software inside of the iPad ecosystem, at least so far that I've seen. I'm gonna have to look and explore other options. Maybe, I don't know, like Nomad Sculpt has a better like hand painting stuff or something. But I mean, if you just want to sort of like keep moving forward and advancing the pipeline, it's perfectly valid. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, that's it. We got a couple of important questions. We'll answer them in just a second, because today, right now, it's time for streaming. What's up, guys? Hello, and welcome everyone to our Friday live stream. I'm very happy to be here. Let's go full screen for a little bit. I'm very happy to be here. Fridays are always a day I'm looking forward to. Not only because we have this amazing community of you guys here watching, but also because we get to like just do some cool stuff, right? We get to just like play around, learn about the 3D world, answer questions, and just enjoy life, enjoy art. That's always cool. So today, let me get the concept real quick. Let me open Purif. Well, I have a little bit of a bad news, guys. Remember the Mighty Thor I was working on a couple of weeks ago? Well, we've been working it for several weeks now. Remember that one? Well, unfortunately, it's right here on this like SSD. So I mentioned the other day that my computer died, the motherboard that I had died, and at that point I was like, oh, okay, well, let's just change it. No, it didn't get corrupted. It just died. Like I was doing some heavy renders, and I think like some transistor or something just like exploded. Like my computer just suddenly shut off and it wouldn't turn on. So I had to get a new motherboard. I had to reinstall Windows and everything, and I don't have enough slots to get this in there. So I just order a like adapter so that I can connect this back to the computer and download all of my old files. But that's why we don't have the Mighty Thor just yet. No, it's not. Thankfully, it's not corrupted. Commercials again. There we go. So no, that's not corrupted, but I do need to go through it again. Okay, let's go over here. And we got some question from Samil. It says, I recently got my first job before this job. I've done a 9-month internship. Now this company says that internship experience doesn't count. Is that true? That's completely false, man. Completely false. And I would actually, like, that would be a red flag for me. If I'm applying to a company and they say, oh, internships doesn't count as experience. Dude, like, what do you want as experience then? Like, just shipped games? Because there's a ton of people that work for a long time and their games never shipped, for instance. Whether you're not gonna count those either. So no, that's a little bit of a red flag for me. Like, I'm not sure why they're not counting internships, because as long as you were doing the process and you were following the instructions that you were given, in my eyes, you were already doing this stuff. There we go. This is it. Help. I love this concept. This concept is by oh, I had it here on the thumbnail. Evelyn something. Give me 1 second. Eva Maganja. If you look her up in the what's the word, in our station, you should find her. She's got some amazing stuff, and she did this a couple of years ago, I think like 6 years ago, and I found this like, oh, that's so cool, and it looks like excellent for a little exercise that we should be able to finish relatively quickly. Let's see. Just out of curiosity, would you say more Nealer? I would say Hyo, probably more modelers are needed in games, because there's usually more assets in games. In films, they have a lot of kits and they reuse a lot of stuff. Again, it might vary. It really depends on the project, to be honest. Johnny Valdez desde Cuba, saludos mi estimado. GC Legend says, when I'm rendering my model in my Arnold, camera anti-aliasing is 7 and it's a CPU-based render. There are red dots coming in the render, the volume is in this amount, and there are some red dots. Have you tried using Denoiser, man? Denoiser usually gets rid of those like weird elements. We call those fireflies. That's when like certain like pixels are like way too overexposed or something. It's relatively common in some types of renders, so you might want to try using denoiser. Even if you're not using GPU, you can still use denoiser. You might need to use another type of denoiser, like the Odin or Odin denoiser, but that might help you with those like flickering things. In Death We Trust is also here. What's up, my friend? Welcome to the chat. Alan Castillo, all good, man, all good. Okay, the portfolio reviews, she's up. They're gonna be now on the secondary channel. We're giving every single review a space, so they get hopefully a little bit more exposure, a little bit more views. So you're gonna find that in a secondary channel that we have in YouTube called a Leal 3D Clips. That's where they're gonna be. This live streams, remember, we upload them a little bit after the fact. So yeah, that's I think that's it. Let's see. My Skydome like burned the HDRI effects. Can you lower the exposure? Maybe you can lower the exposure to get less light into the scene. Let's see. I'm trying to see if we missed any question right here. The animator has a question. It says, do you have a video or do you know how to keep the detail of a character from ZBrush so that you can then animate it on Blender? With displacement maps and everything, it still looks like less detail. Okay. That's a great question, man. Oof. I love you guys asking amazing questions like that one. So, and this is something that I struggled with when I was learning about like maps and rendering and all that kind of things. Let me show you. It's a little bit technical, but you guys can handle technical, right? You guys can handle technical. So, let's say you have a character or whatever, right? Like something inside of ZBrush. And this character is 10 million polygons. Right? It's a 10 million polygon character. And then you do a retopology. You bring it down to, I don't know, let's say 10K triangles. Super low poly, right? Create like a very nice wireframe. And then you have a map. And you have a 4K map that you're going to be using displacement with. Right? And then you render. So this thing, this 10K tries, it gets subdivided all the way back to 10 million. And then this 10 million gets displaced with this displacement map to try to get the exact same result that you had in ZBrush, right? That's the overall thing that we want to do when we're using displacement maps. We want to reproject or rebuild all of that detail at render time. So you can animate normally with a low poly mesh, and then you, you recreate all that detail at render time. What's the problem? And it's a very stupid problem, but it's a very simple problem at the same time. This right here. This is the problem. Because it's not the same thing to have a 4K map for this whole object. Even if you're dividing this to 10 million polygons, the resolution that you're going to get with a 4K map is not the same that to have, for instance, let's say, 4 UDIMs, right, at 4K. This is like a 16K map, right? Because we got 4K right here, 4K right here, 4K right here, and 4K right here. So if you add all of that up, we're going to get 16K. So if you do the exact same amount of polygons, right, from 10K to 10 million with displacement maps, with like, I don't know, like 6 subdivision levels or whatever, but you have way more resolution in your UDIMs, you will get a better result, and it will look closer to what you get inside of ZBrush, okay? So this is a big part of it. This is one of like the main reasons why sometimes, even if you're using displacement, things don't look exactly the same way, because you might need more resolution on your displacement map. And then another thing that you can do here is you can use a normal map or even a bump map. I know bump maps are very like old, but you can use this to bring in the really high frequency details into your elements so that you don't have to use so many UDIMs. So it's a combination of all of these maps that you can use to try to sort of like play around with your render times and get the most resolution and have something that's coming from ZBrush look as nice as possible, for instance, in Maya or in Blender, okay? So that's one of the secrets that I discovered, because I remember when I was doing this test, when I was just a student, I would do it with 2K displacement maps and it would just look like horrible. Like one single like 2K displacement map and it would look horrible. So what you need to do here is you're going to have to do, again, multiple maps right here. Let's see. Hey, do you know that ChatGPT can rig a character for you? I have not tried that. I would not trust ChatGPT to do a full render. There's other tools out there that can help you with that. Let's say, did you see the new ChatGPT AI image generation? It's crazy. It is crazy. I mean, we've seen it already with Midjourney, to be honest. I think it's just a little bit of a fad. Like it's gonna die away. Like people are gonna keep doing it, but it's not gonna have like a huge impact on the industry. I don't think so. Like I understand the fear of AI, and it's perfectly valid and perfectly reasonable. But there's other things, guys. Like it's not. It's not gonna be the end of the world. Let's see. We got Gotham. What's up, man? I'm planning to update my portfolio. Planning to do product models in it. Will be good. Yeah, product models are okay if you're going to be doing like commercial stuff, but it's one of those things that you need to be very mindful again where you're going to be tailoring your portfolio towards. I know a lot of like illustrators use other softwares, like for instance, what's the word? Or not software, so other like pages like freaking Behance. Behance is the one that I've seen before. Okay, so let's start with the fish. Let's start like modeling our fish. Of course, we're gonna do a symmetrical fish. This is gonna be a lot easier to do it that way. And I'm just gonna start with a simple sphere. And we're gonna start with our move brush, of course. So I'm just gonna I don't, oh my god, what am I doing? Feels like I haven't used ZBrush in a while. There we go. So I'm going to start just with the basic shape of the body with a sphere, because eventually this guy is going to be again like a game ready asset. So the hell, I feel like they moved my like the spacebar here. Yeah, that's weird. Normally when you, is this new? Did they change this? So I'm using the newest version. And I remember when I press the space bar, my mouse would be hovering over the draw size. Oh yeah, sorry about that. I almost forgot about that, David. Thank you for reminding me. So, here's the thing. We got a little surprise for you guys. We got a little giveaway going on. It's a very nice giveaway, so I'm sure you guys are gonna like it. And for this giveaway, can anyone guess what the giveaway is? Oh, it's gonna be a good giveaway. Hell, give me 1 second, guys. I'm back to the old ZBrush. I'm sure that's new. It's freaking me out. So we are going to be having a giveaway today, and this giveaway is sponsored. Oh, let's go over here. by our good friends at Marmoset. This is the final giveaway, the final giveaway that they told us that we're going to be able to do. So at least for now, maybe in the future we'll have more. But today, we're going to be giving away, in celebration, of course, on the release of our newest course, which is the Marmoset course, we're going to be giving away 2 more 1-year licenses for Marmoset Toolback 5. So Maria was just mentioning this here in the chat that she got the full version recently, and she was very happy with all of the things that you can do because it's an amazing software. Depending on how far ahead we move today on this project, we will be doing a little bit of bakes there. There we go. They did change it. I knew I wasn't crazy. Look at that. Anyway, so we're going to be doing that. We're going to have another giveaway later for a free course of your choosing as well, Anuva. But for now, the first 2 giveaways that we're going to have are going to be the giveaways for Marmoset Toolback 5. So you guys know the drill. Here's the drill for those of you who are new to the channel or who just joined. You're going to join our Discord. Very important to join the Discord. We're going to link this. Let me show you. There we go. You're going to join our Discord, and you're going to go to this section right here. Over on the notice board, there's the events channel, and boom, there's going to be this little thing right here, okay? David just set this up for us. And here on this little giveaway bot, you need to click on this little sort of like party popper thingy, this red thing right here. I'm not going to click because imagine if I won, I would get canceled immediately. So, yeah, you're going to click on that little guy right there. And once you click that, you're going to be entered for this first free giveaway. And at the end, we're going to select the winner, of course. This randomly generated with this giveaway bot. So make sure to join our Discord channel and go here again to the events channel. If you just joined the Discord channel, just be a little bit patient because we need to just confirm your as you get in so that we don't get any like weird bots or things like that. And then once you have that, you're good to go. Okay, so they did change this. Look at this. When I press this paper, this is ZBrush 2025.1.3, and yesterday they released ZBrush 2025.2, and they changed this where if you press a spacebar, this like whole block right here, it immediately, like my what's the word, my thing right here, my cursor is lying on top of the draw size, which is like I'm so used to using it this way. So I'm not sure why they changed this on the other one on 2025.2. I need to change if it's something that we can sort of like push a little bit to the side, because now I'm clicking on this sphere thing right there, and it's just selecting something that I don't want to select. So there we go. There we go. Let's see. Okay, I'm not seeing any question. I feel like trying to run away from it from this little futile. Yeah, no, every single career is struggling with this, with like AI. It's one of those things that's changing the way we're gonna like pretty much behave as a society. Like there's gonna be a lot of changes there. But again, I don't think it's gonna be the end of the world. We just need to sort of like adapt to this new like reality pretty much. Dynamesh. I'm gonna do Dynamesh at a really low resolution so that we can focus on silhouette a little bit more, because this kind of characters, since they're a little bit more cartoonish, they have very specific silhouettes, right? So here I'm just working on a side view, just smoothing things out, just guesstimating the general like flow of things. It's a lot of looking at the image and then tweaking things over here, checking, sort of like measuring the different elements. I could go into other softwares, like for instance what's the word, Blender or Maya, right, and just trace this. That could be another option, but I feel like in this particular case, not that bad. You finally understand the blocking. Yeah, on the blocking stage, which is this early stage that we're on right now, one of the most important things is to try to keep things as simple as possible and focus on the silhouette. The silhouette is one of the most important things of any project that you're doing, any project really, and it's fundamental that you focused on trying to capture again the proper proportions and everything. Let me add the eye. The eye is going to be a really good sort of like point here to really understand the proportions. Why? Because we can very easily see, right, on this thing right here, how far is the eye from the border of the fish? How far is it from the mouth? How like it's going to be a very nice sort of like reference point. We're gonna have it right there. We can do mirror. I mean, we're not gonna see the other eye, right? But we can still do a mirror here. And now that I have the eye, I can just start like quickly sketching where I would expect things to be. So for instance, that tells me that this whole thing, this whole nose, is a little bit too low. There we go. We're probably going to be changing or tweaking this on the low poly a little bit. If it becomes too thin, remember we can use the inflate brush to give a little bit more thickness back to it. And that's why working with a low amount of polygons at this stage is better, because you're going to have a little bit more control over these things. Let's see. Why do you not use dynamic? Yeah, just personal preference, and because this is pretty much like a side view that we're seeing here on this particular character, it's going to be a little bit easier to do it. Now, here's where we can take a little bit of an artistic decision and just like tweak some of the what's the word? Silhouettes just a tad bit, just to exaggerate a couple points. Because exaggeration is always a good thing, and you're going to see this quite a bit in projects. Like, there's two schools of thought when we're dealing with like 3D art. Some people are like, you have to match the concept perfectly, like perfectly, and others are like, no, as long as you capture the essence of the concept, that's good enough, right? It really depends on the project. Some projects will ask you to be very, very, again, precise with how you do your concept, and some projects will have a little bit more of a wiggling room in that sense. So again, it really depends on the project that you're working on. In general, I like to try to match it as close as possible, but if I see something that can be improved upon and you get the authorization from your client or from your art lead or whatever, it's always a good idea to improve upon the amazing concepts that we already have. Let's see. Is there a ZBrush feature that allows you to model on a proxy duplicate of the same model? I'm not sure, Brian. I don't think so. We have the proxy pose, but I don't think we have exactly that thing that you're mentioning. Let's mask this lasso here. I'm just gonna rotate this a little bit more to accommodate or get a little bit closer to the curvature that we have right there, because you can see there's like a little bit of a bump here on top of the eye. Could be like a little bit of an eyebrow, right? It's not really an eyebrow, but just like that extra volume right there. Oh, nice. And then this fins down here, I'm not sure they are actually what's the word, on the center line of the character. Usually fishes, and this is where reference is so important, right? But usually fishes, and I tell you this because last year I did a freelance project where I had to model a, what was it? A salmon, I think, or something like that. There we go. So this is the pelvic fin, and then they have this fin. I'm not gonna say the name because I don't want to get banned here on YouTube. And sometimes those fins, there we go, like the pelvic fin, as you can see, it's actually mirror, right? So it's like a little arm, like an extra arm. It's not a pectoral fin right there. But let's look at the swordfish. Let's look at the swordfish and see. Yeah, look at that. So now that we see the swordfish here, we can totally see that this ones right here are like arms, right? He has like this big two arms, and then there's one single fin right there. So again, based on our concept, based on our concept, this one right here is a like center line fin. So we can go right here, Dynamesh to give it a little bit more volume and inflate it a little bit, and we can work from there. But that one's gonna be right there, correct? We're gonna have that nice little fin right there. A little bit wider. Push this a little bit more. There we go. And this one right here, the sort of like dorsal fin or the arm fin, is another one. It's like a mirror fin. So we're gonna have it. The hell? That's a weird mask right there. There we go. So always look at the eye. It starts right there at the middle of the eye. So we go there, and it's gonna be on this area right here. Probably a little bit lower. So right around there. And we can, for instance, use our transpose line to just push this down. There we go. Thank you for the follow, Best P Hourt. Thank you, thank you. Okay. got a big sort of like connection to the body, but then goes very long towards the back. Dynamesh again. And right now it looks a little bit too... My God, I'm gonna have to get YouTube Premium against my will. So we don't have to listen to all of those things. Hi, my friend. Welcome. So I'm gonna make them thinner. So let's get this. I'm gonna move the pivot point to the center and then rotate it so it follows a very similar axis. That way when we make it thinner, it's gonna follow the shape a little bit better. And I don't care about the body being a little bit destroyed right now because we're still in Dynamesh, so all of that can be very, very easily fixed, right? Dynamesh, and then move all of this right there. There we go. There, awesome. Yeah, of course, the animator. Yeah, I can cover displacement maps again. I think we already have a video on displacement maps on the channel, in case you want to look it up. It uses... I don't remember. Oh, we're using the Kindred mask. So I'm using the Kindred mask, and you can see how I approach the process right there. But yeah, we can do it with a more complex character. Okay, so as you can see, that gives us a very good idea of the element right here. The only thing that we're missing is this mouth. That's an important thing as well for the character. And then we can clean this up a little bit for the high poly. So the mouth, as you can see right here, again, I go to the eye, I go down here, and I see that the corner of the mouth is right around there. So that tells me that I need to add volume on that direction to really create the mouth. And you can tell that the mouth is actually open, right? Can you guys see that? Mouth is open. He's like, a little bit worried that he's going to be hanged for eternity on that wall. There's more belly. Like the first thing that I noticed right here, I feel like the eye and the mouth are in a good position. And this guy's right here going to be roughly around there. So that looks good. But look at the belly right here. That's a big belly. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to mask this area, which is where the belly is, and this fence. And I'm going to reset the pivot point and push it down, right? So that we can give him a little bit more of that sort of like belly, the distance. Again, it's always very, very important to look at your reference and really compare how close or not you are to the proportions of the image. When we're working in traditional clay, I used to do that. I did a couple of classes when I was in school back in the day. One of the things that we use this calipers to measure things, and it's very, very important. And you sort of like develop that eye to really understand where you're like missing that kind of things. Now here, let me do a quick save before anything bad happens. There we go. And I'm going to use my knife brushes or knife curve. So with the knife curve, I want to go in there and then alt double tap and go out to remove that piece right there from the mouth. There was another piece like here on this fin. That, and then on the tail, right? So those little changes in silhouette can be very, very helpful. Of course, right now it looks ridiculous, right? But this is the part where we go back to the sculpting sort of like table. Just like polish all of this. Now, I want you guys to look at something interesting with this character. I'm working with a very low subdivision level. A super common mistake that I see people make when they're like starting their characters is they like to jump to really high subdivision levels very quickly. And by doing that, you sort of like rob yourself from the opportunity of adjusting this like simple things first. Because if you don't adjust the simple things first, it's way, way more difficult to do it later. Okay, once we have more polygons, it's a lot more difficult. Now here again, let's look at the curvature. If we look at the curvature of the mouth, this is a round curvature pointing up, and mine is pointing forward. So that tells me, hey, this is wrong. Like I'm not going in the right direction with this particular line. So let's push this up. And again, by using masks and things like that, we can get closer to that the very nice sort of like belly effect we have here on the mouth. Put it up again. And once more, I'm not gonna get tired of mentioning this. If you're working with a low poly, it's a lot easier to make these big changes. Once we jump into like higher subdivision levels, it's gonna be more complicated to adjust this kind of stuff. Let's see. Michael has a question. Says, I have a question. I've posted several 3D models in different places like CG Trader, TubeScoot, and Fab, and they're not selling. What do you think I can do to make them sell well? Well, I would need to see the models, to be honest. I'm going to be very, very, again, brutally honest with you, man. I've bought models for some productions that we've done here. They need to be very high quality. And unfortunately, there's a lot of bad stuff out there. Like, there's a lot of people who upload very simple models. Like, I've seen people upload the freaking donut from Blender Guru, right? As a model to sell. Like, why would I buy that donut when I think he even, like, gives his away for free? So, it's one of those things that you really need to be mindful that if your quality is not there, then the chances of you being able to sell it are going to be lower, right? So that will be the first one. Like, make sure the quality of the stuff that you're doing is really, really good. Second, make sure you're selling something that's quite unique. If you're just selling, again, another chair, another table, then, again, it's going to be a little bit complicated, right? Okay, so I think at this point we're in a good position to jump into like some cleaner like meshes. So I'm gonna try. Let's do a little bit more resolution. Let's try. Oh, okay, that's very common for it to happen. When this happens, by the way, that's because Dynamesh is having like issues with like this kind of things where it's very, very thin in some areas. You can try doing a little bit of like inflate and see if that solves it. If it doesn't, you can go to geometry and then modify topology. You can do close holes first. And then you can do, there's another one here, like a weld points. And that one usually helps a little bit. And it's not like a perfect solution, but it should give you a little bit of a nicer effect. Hi, Ave. I've just completed my intro studies and now joining in animation course. Any suggestions, any basic tips? Keep learning and keep improving, man. Keep learning and keep improving. As you guys know, that's our motto here at the studio. So that's the best thing I can advise you for. Okay, I still don't like I like the mouth. Right, like the mouth has a good direction right there, but this thing right here, the belly, can you see the curvature on the belly? We don't have that curvature right there, and I'm not sure if it's because of the fin, so I might just like remove the fin for now. Oh, yeah. That happened, of course. That's the problem with the slice brush. That's the very bad problem with the slice brush. It can be a little bit buggy sometimes. You can show me on the portfolio review, Michael. We do those at the end of the month, and you can submit on our Discord channel. We can go from there. Let's see. Doc, how are you, my friend? How far are we? Not that far. Okay. So what I wanted to do was I'm gonna remove this fins for now. Delete hidden. So that we can really focus on the belly first. And once I'm happy with the belly shape, we can add them back in. If you one day you do a sort of something with always lowering, oh yeah, we're working on that, Maria. We've been exploring a couple of options for a little bit of merc. It's definitely in the plans, but I just want to make sure that it's fair for everyone, you know? There we go. As you can see here, by adjusting the belly first, it's a lot better to get close to the... Still feel like, I think like the belly's way too far forward, so let me push it back a little bit more. Really focus on that nicer, like, it's like a torpedo shape, right? Really want to have that nice, like, smooth curvature going on. Happy Friday, Franny! How are you? Happy to see you here. We're about to give away one of the licenses. Very thankful for that. We got 13 minutes left, guys. So right now, the first giveaway for today is a full year, a license for a full year of Marmoset Toolbag 5. Go. Can you share your computer specs for smooth lag-free modeling? So like the computer that just died, it was a AMD 7 5800X. I have a 3080 Ti graphics card, 64 gigabytes of RAM. And that's pretty much it. SSDs, like make sure you install stuff in SSDs and things like that, because you're gonna get a little bit of a better result that way. Okay, now I think we can increase the resolution first. There we go. Here's the resolution. Looks a little bit denser. Okay. So now let's start polishing things a little bit. I'll open the mouth in just a second. But I want to, now that we have a better direction here, have this line right here. Goes towards the eye. Really push it here. Again, just adding a volume. Why is it important to have that volume? Because this volume eventually will be a ridge that we need to model. On the low poly, we will need that volume to be modeled so we can see it. And there's multiple ways to open the mouth. In this particular case, I can actually just like start like carving. And I think that's not going to be a bad idea. Because it's not a very open mouth, right? So we can do something like that. Let's go to the eye. Just gonna do the eye real quick there, so that we can see it. And for instance, one thing that we can do here is we can add a little bit of detail. It's a cartoon character, so that we don't want to do things like hyper realistic, but we can definitely add, you know, a little bit of a bump here to indicate the what's the word? Like the eyebrows, right? Like it's those kind of details that can really push this to sort of like the next level. Move this a little bit right there. I might need to rebuild this with like proper topology. Let's see. If you got to choose something to be your mascota for the community, what are your choices? That's a great question. Back in the day, and this is a little bit of a sad story, but I have a very cool like a little robot that was my pet for my old studio for Critical Hit, and I used it for the other brand that I was working on, and I think they've been reusing it. So I was like, okay, you can keep it, whatever. So I might need to do another one. But I always thought that thanks to the D20, you know, the D20 that we have as a symbol, that a robot fits very nice with that sort of like shape language. We're probably going to have to design like a robot for us later. Let's see. Doc says, hi Ave, I've learned a lot of things from Marmoset and Substance Painter from your course. Very helpful. I'm wondering in the future, do you have any tutorial for hand painted? A lot of people have been looking for that, man. I think I really want to do it, man. I really want to do it because hand painted is so fun. Okay, you guys help me out with there. What would you guys like to see in a hand painted course? Like, what are the things that you would be looking for? Because yeah, that's one of the things that I would definitely like to do a course about. Again, it's a very fun process. But there's so many things, right? There's like environment stuff, there's like characters, there's props. So hand paint on Maya? You wanna kill me, Anthony? You want me to get a stroke or something? No, dude. Arcan style painting, you know, I mean, Arcan style is freaking, it's on the other level, it's in another level. I don't have that level. I'm honest, I don't have that level. Props and fantasy characters like that style of some worlds in Split Fiction. Yeah. Haven't played Split Fiction. Nighthold and Crazy Man. I also forgot to give you your shout out. Thanks guys for the follow. How many followers do we have on Twitch? Haven't even been keeping track. Are we at 3K already now, right? Or like what? 2,900 or something like that? Character hand painting. Prop and character would be nice. But here's the thing, like if I do a prop, let's say we do a prop one, you know, like a cool prop, like not just a basic sword or something like that, like an actual cool prop. That's going to take several hours, right? It's going to be like a 20-hour course or something like that. Would you guys like that to be part of one big course where we then jump into a character, or two separate courses, one for characters and one for props? That's a different thing, right? Creature, yeah, creature would actually not be a bad idea. The hell? Both? You would get both? Well, I appreciate the support then. Yeah, we'll be, but actually creature was not a bad idea. Crazy Man says, what's up, Ave? How's it going? Been watching for about a year or so. Your substance videos and anatomy course have carried me through college. There you go, man. I'm glad they've been helpful. And everything's fine. We're having quite a bit of fun here. Let's see. We got 7 more minutes, guys. 7 more minutes. We got only 84 entries, so you have a big shot right now to win the license, my friends. 85 entries. That means a 1 in 100 chance. That's better odds than getting a character on Genshin Impact. So you're definitely gonna get more value from this one. A creature and like show how you can use brush strokes to get your details to show more stuff. Yeah, actually, creature course is not a bad idea. I've been wanting to do a creature course as well. Originally, it was gonna be like, well, not originally. Like one of the plans is to do a realistic creature course, but hand painted course might not be a bad idea, to be honest. A weapon and character combo would be ideal in my opinion. Woes tile. See, I prefer League of Legends in terms of like the style of the hand painting because I feel like it's a little bit less contrasty. I feel like World of Warcraft tends to be a little bit more contrasty, which is fine. I mean, again, there's different styles, but I personally like the more sort of like pastel look of League of Legends. Right there, awesome. I mean, a creature hand painted would be the best deal to really understand hand painted, like dragons. I don't know about the dragon. I mean, I have the dragon head. That could be a good exercise for hand painted. Now, it would have to be like a relatively small character. Like, I don't think we could do like a massive character because it just takes a lot of time to record and to do the whole process, right? So I know, unfortunately, a lot of people don't finish the courses when they're very long. We found that there's sort of like a sweet spot in courses from 10 to 20 hours are usually a good amount of time. Because more than that, and people get like tired. Yeah, Deku, we have a giveaway. We got 4 more minutes, so make sure to jump into the Discord channel if you want to have the chance to win a full year of Marmoset Toolback 5, sponsored by our good friends, the Monkeys. I think I'm not sure if there's still anyone here from the Marmoset team, but I believe you call yourself the Monkeys, right? Because the Marmoset is a little tiny monkey. I'm not sure where that monkey is from. If it was like Africa or Asia. South America. I know it's not from Mexico. we don't have those kind of monkeys here. There you go. There you go. We're getting there. Polish the Do you have a course to be a freelancer? No. But I've mentioned about the price before, Anthony. My way to sort of like quote my stuff. When I started, I quoted by hour rate. Like I would just like find what the average hour rate for a 3D artist was, and I would try to go from there. And you do need to be, unfortunately, very honest there. You cannot easily charge like USD prices if you live like in Latin America, like I do, right? So people would not pay you USD dollars. In Mexico here, for instance, we have a very low daily wage. Like per day, people earn like the minimum wage here in Mexico per day for 8 hours of work is $13. I'm gonna say $14 for the full day. Right? For the full day. So in the United States, I know that, for instance, for a junior artist, you can expect to get anything between like $20 to $25 per hour, right? That's like a very sort of like normal rate, I would say. And like it will be impossible to charge that here in Mexico. So you try to, again, adapt your prices to what other careers are doing, and you use that as a bench. But you always add, this is very important, Anthony, whenever you're trying to price something, you always add how much time it takes you, how much it costs you in terms of, you know, electricity, your licenses, any assets that you might need to buy, things like that. You want to add a little bit of, you want to add the taxes on top. A lot of people make that mistake where they don't add the taxes on their price. So then eventually when you get your money, you're going to have to pay taxes, and you lose a little bit of money there. And you want to add maybe like a savings or like a health insurance thing. So always proportionate, right? But always like include that in your prices, because they're not paying you for your social security or things like that. So you do need to sort of like incorporate that somehow in your prices. In India, you might get $100 for a month in the start. Oh, that's tough, man. $100. Well, I mean, it depends. Like, this is a good question. Like, one way I like to sort of like guesstimate or measure whether or not a price is good is how much does it cost to eat. like have a nice meal per day in whatever country you're in. So for instance, here in Mexico, with 250 pesos, which is like $14, you can totally have like a good like meal. It's not going to be enough. I'm not saying that that's a good salary. It's still very, very low salary because you're not going to be able to do a lot of other things. But what's the word? But at least you can eat, right? So if you're not even making it to get yourself some like food and pay for your rent and again your health and things like that, you might want to be looking for other opportunities if possible. It's a tough place out there, unfortunately, in the world. Oh, we're almost there, right? We're almost there with the giveaway. 38 seconds, guys. 93 entries. 1 in 100 chance. Not freaking bad, huh? Not freaking bad odds here for our community. Let's see. Oh, did it not update? Get stuck? Oh, 6 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And congratulations to... Who's this guy? Devil1_1. Devil1_1. Congratulations, you just won. You just won a full year of Marmoset Toolbag 5 so that you can explore all of the things within the software. You're going to be able to do rendering. You're going to be able to do bakes, texturing. It's an amazing software, man. You're not going to regret learning it. And yeah, I'll be contacting you throughout the day, okay, to explain to you how the licensing process works so that you can redeem it for yourself. No, after 1 year, you would need to update to the full version. I think it's right now at the $19 per month, the subscription for the software. So this price is worth like more than $200. So yeah, you would need to update. Like actually in the instructions that I'm gonna send our good friend Devil here. There you go. Where are you, Devil? I'm not sure where Devil is, but congratulations. When you redeem this license, you need to use a card just to register. And after that, you can just cancel it, and so that it doesn't auto-renew, and you can use it completely for free after the year. That's weird. The giveaway spelled my username wrong. Yeah, very weird, right, Ceriso? Yeah, very weird. Very weird indeed. There you go. Okay, yeah, we got the second giveaway going now, guys. Second giveaway. This is the Marmoset 5, the last license that we're going to be giving away. Again, thanks to our friends at the Marmoset Toolbag team. And yeah, we're going to be, well, started right now. It's, again, in the same place. You need to go to the Discord channel, go to the events, and here on the events tab under the notice board, you click on that little red thing to enter the chance to win one of these licenses. There we go. Dr. Podopsky, what's up, my friend? I've been good. I've been good. Well, March was, and I think I've shared this before, but March was one of the toughest months in my life, I'm gonna say. Not because of work. There were a lot of like family and personal things going on, and it was just a very rough month, emotionally speaking. So yeah, but thankfully things are getting better. We're still very busy here at the studio because we're gonna have our launch of the little experience that we've been working on for the museum next week. If you're in Mexico and you're gonna be visiting us here in Saltillo, Coahuila, to the Desert Museum, we're gonna have a very cool AR experience that we're gonna be showcasing. So yeah, it's been good. It's been good. Let's see. Oh yeah, save. Let's save the tool already. Go. There we go. Antov says it would be cool to do a challenge every month or something with a theme. We tried doing that a couple of months ago. Well, early last year, I think. And unfortunately, it was. I mean, we had some cool submissions, but we didn't get too many. We are gonna have a contest soon, though. I'm not sure exactly when, but definitely in the next couple of months. We need to plan that out, David, to have another one of our contests. We had an amazing one last year. It was the Creatures Unleashed for Halloween for October. It was very, very cool with amazing entries. I really enjoyed that one. And before that, we had the Weapons of Legends. It was also a very, very cool contest. So yeah, we definitely want to do one more of those. Thank you, Manuel. How are you? There we go. So I think at this point, at least the body of the fish for what I want to do with this project is pretty much ready. The only thing we need is the extra fins. So let me add them again. We're going to go there. Gonna add the fins right there. Oh my god. There we go. I don't know why we're getting so many ads today. We can launch new contest plus new course plus new merch together. Yeah, actually, I think that's a fair plan, man. What do you guys think? New contest, new course, and merch all together, released at the same time. That'll be cool. I was using uBlock Origin or something like that, but it was getting this like weird effect where things were sort of like, I don't know, it was weird. I think I need to move this guy's more towards the center of the body. That. Something like that. Because I want to see a little bit more of the belly, right? Again, I'm not worried. This is one of the advices that I give all of my students when we're working on sculpts. Don't worry about destroying your sculpt. I'm going to tell you a fun story. When I was in school, my teacher, my sculpture teacher, John Brown, we were in sculpture 3. So it was the last part of the sculpture, or the last like sculpture class that we were going to have. And we were doing a life-size bust, like huge bust of a character. I was doing like an aquatic creature. Actually, the Ocroc, you guys remember that one? I did a version of that guy because that's the that's the idea that I had at the time. So I was doing that guy, and the face was not looking great. The face was just not looking great. And the teacher came by, John came by, and he was like, hey, I don't think your face is looking good. He's like, oh yeah, you think so? What do I need to fix? And he's like, oh, you need to change the proportions here. You maybe need to fix this, like bone structures over here and a little bit of the silhouette over here. He's like, yeah, okay, let me get to it. And he's like, let me help you. And he grabbed a wire cutter, like it's like a very sort of like thickish wire with 2 like wooden handles, and he just went and cut the whole freaking like face out of my sculpt. Like the whole freaking face. I think I had spent like 3 weeks or like something like that, like working on that face, and he just like literally cut it out in one simple thing, and yeah, it was like, okay, now do it again. It's like, well, I guess I have to, and yeah, I learned at that point, like that traumatized me, but it was a good lesson because like don't get too attached to your stuff, like don't get too attached to your sculpture. Feel free to be able to sort of like destroy them if you need to. Because if that is for the better of the piece of the work, it's just gonna like help you. No, I definitely wanted to, you know, like I was very mad because it was a lot of work at that point. But I understood it. I'm gonna tell you another story from back in my days. Let me go full screen because this is a very funny one. And you guys might feel what's the word, like identified with this one. So this was in my first year. It was, I think, like the second semester or something like that, very early in my school years. And we were having I think it was color theory and composition class. The teacher was Bob Pastrana, amazing teacher. Amazing teacher. And one of the things he asked for is to get, a pad to do acrylic paintings. We got like our acrylic tubes, and we were painting. We're doing like color theory stuff. And I've always been very sort of like, or I was very, what's the word? Maybe the word is cheap, but it's not really cheap. Like I really cared a lot about my materials, right? Like I didn't want to waste any of my materials. So I was doing something that required mixing red and oranges and things like that. And I was grabbing my red acrylics tube, and I was just like pressing it very, very lightly to get a small bit of paint. I would grab the paint with my brush and I would do my stuff. And I would grab my tube again, put a little bit more red, grab a little red, and paint a little bit more. And I was repeating the process, and he was just looking at me like, what the hell is this stupid dude doing? So he grabbed my tube. He went like close to my table. He grabbed my tube. He's like, what are you doing? It's like, oh, I'm painting this red stuff. I need to do a little bit of shading here and there. And it's like, okay, cool. He grabbed my red tube, my red paint tube, and he just squeezed the whole freaking tube into my palette, into my wet palette. And I was like horrified at the fact that I was seeing all of the paint, like all of my tube, my red paint right there on the freaking board. And he was like, now you can paint. Feel free to grab as much paint as you need, and you're not gonna waste as many time just like adding more and more and more paint. And I was like, but I'm gonna waste it. It's like, no, I'll teach you a way you can save some of it at the end. But and he's told me something very important. Art materials are meant to be used, man. Use them. If you ran out of freaking red paint, you're just gonna have to go and buy another one. That's it. That's how this works. Because if you're afraid of using your materials, then you're never going to be able to see what you can come up with, right? So that taught me not to be over like careful, or I'm not sure if that's the word, but it's like just go and use your materials. Yes, be mindful about them. Like just don't just waste it like whatever you want to do, or willy-nilly, right? But you gotta be more confident about what you're doing. Was his lesson right there, and it helped me so much. There was another teacher. This was a digital teacher, and he told me polygons are free, so don't be afraid of, again, like destroying your destroying your work, your polygons, or starting over, because they're just free. They're not gonna they're not gonna affect you. No, Vishal, no. They were amazing teacher. One of the best teachers I've ever had, Bob Pastrana. He taught us a lot of like design principles and things like that. No, he was not trying to be edgy just to be edgy. He wanted me to teach me. He taught me a lesson back then, and I'll be forever grateful for that. It might not work for everyone, and that's the great thing about teachers, right? Like every single teaching style out there is different. Some people respond very well to certain teaching styles, and some people don't. That's perfectly fine. So it really depends on what kind of stuff resonates with you. And that's the beauty of this world, right? There's so many people doing amazing things that you can totally find someone that really resonates with your style of art and your style of work. There we go. I think we're in a good position here with our swordfish. So let's do the boards on the back real quick. Can you make a whole character from a sphere? What do you think we just did right here, my friend? Everything started from a sphere with this fish. So yes, case 2 up. I can totally do a full character from a sphere. Polygons are free. Time isn't. Yeah, I know. Time isn't. But you will be surprised at how much time we actually have. Keremy says, I want to learn hand-painted style in Substance Painter. Is it enough to make low poly meshes? Yes, you can get some nice hand-painted style stuff in Substance. But if you want to do like real hand-painted stuff, you're probably going to be using other softwares like Photoshop and 3D Code. Okay, so let's set a cube. This is going to be the background or the backplate here for the woods. Now this is where we're probably going to have to cut the fish. Or at least just ignore part of it. Go. Again, always look at the reference. So I can see that the wood panel stops roughly halfway around there. But it actually goes a little bit further back on the tail. Right, so it's right around there. In terms of like top and bottom, it goes a little bit higher than that. Right around there. And that's about right. Now I'm going to do Dynamesh on the cube. Let me save this real quick. And we're going to use our knife curve. So on the top, you can see we have a nice little angle, like corner, right around there. That's like the angle that we have up there. And on the bottom, we also have an angle, which is right around there. And then we have a hole right here. For that one, I'm going to use a different one. It's going to be the knife circle. So the knife circle is really cool because what we can do here is literally just cut the circle out of the element. See that? Very cool, right? Have you guys seen this tool before? It's called the Slice. It's kind of like booleans. It's using a similar thing to like booleans. And it's very, very fast, right? Go. That, and then I see another little angle right here. Go. Cool. So we got a relatively good sort of like mesh of the whole thing. Now I'm gonna use a brush that a lot of people forget about. This brush is very cool. It's called the Infinite Move brush. It's V and then M, and it's this one, infinite depth. So this one's very good whenever you want to move something that has thickness to it. If you use the normal move brush, what happens is you only move the forward part and the back part is like not affected, which might destroy sort of like your symmetry or your depth. So if you use that one, the move infinite depth brush, it moves everything, both on the front and on the back at the same time, which is great, because if we want to adjust, for instance, a little bit of this curvatures, we can use this, and I can make sure, like I'm completely confident that all of the movements that I'm doing right now are as clean and as precise as possible. So this one right here is really, really good. Move infinite. Again, especially when you're working with this kind of things, it's really, really, really good. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna clean that border a little bit more right there. Awesome. So as you can see, that gets us closer. That move infinite gets us closer to the actual shape that we have right there. Correct? So that's what we want. Now this is definitely too thick, so I'm gonna make it a little bit thinner. Yeah, we're gonna still keep it cartoonish, but definitely want to make it a little bit thinner. So something like that. Awesome. And one of the very cool things about this concept is that the woods here have a little bit of a bevel, right? Like a bevel going in. That's great because it gives us a little different kinds of planes that react with light, and it just like shines a little bit differently. So I'm gonna go with trim dynamic for this one. Let's dynamesh again, and I'm gonna manually do this here. At that like very deep bevel right here. Right? You get that very nice cartoony vibe to the whole thing. When should you use the move topological? Move topological is very good when you have multiple pieces of geometry in the same subtool and you only want to move a specific part of it. That's where I would use move topological. But yeah, those three brushes, and actually in the iPad version, I don't have my iPad with here right now, but the iPad version, the move brush, move topological, and move infinite depth are on the bar at the same time. So it's very quickly to jump between them. Actually, this is my old like interface. I need to update it a little bit with some of the new brushes that I've been adding. But yeah. Those two brushes, the move topological and the move infinite depth, are definitely on my new bars here. There we go. Oh, that's beautiful. Look at that. I like using move topo with fingers and hair strands. Yeah. That, especially if they're all in the same, again, like mesh. That's a really good one. Let's isolate this real quick so that we don't get any contamination from the mask of the fish. Let's add that right there. And finally, we need this bevel right here. There we go. Not bad, right? Very quickly, very efficiently. There you go. Thank you, Walker, for the bits. We had another animation here, and I don't know why it's not playing. I had another animation for the bit thing, but I'm not sure why it's not playing properly. I'm gonna have to check that because there's the little Final Fantasy guide that we use every now and then. Okay, so we have another like cut up here. So let me go knife curve. It's right around there. Go. Have another one. No, we don't seem to. But that one, a little bit of a bevel as well. Those planes are going to be very important for the retopology process as well. What are your thoughts on ZBrush update released yesterday? I didn't see any big changes here. Like, I'm not using the version right now because they did change something here that's driving me crazy, and I was trying it just a couple of seconds ago. But they added some cool things for Redshift and things like that. I really like the thing that they added for ZBrush for iPad. It was missing C Modeler. We were all waiting for that, and I'm glad it's finally there. Okay, so let me show you a cool trick here for the wood, but let's save this real quick before again anything bad happens. So if we take a look at this, you can see that these are made out of multiple polygroups. I'm gonna Control W to make sure that they're all the same polygroup, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and use my Slice Curve brush. The Slice Curve brush is a very good brush that we can use to generate like different polygroups, like one right there. Gonna generate, let's say, another one right there. And probably one in the middle, right? Like we don't want to have too many like divisions or planks, but we do want to have a couple of them. So probably right around there. There we go. So now, as you can see, this board has been divided into 4 different elements. What I can do now is turn on my polygroups option and dynamesh, okay? And if I dynamesh, what should happen here is every single one of these things should be separated into its own element. There we go. See that? So that's one plank right there. That's another plank right there. That's another plank right there. And finally, this plank right here. So the slice brush allowed me to do that cut on the planks so that I can work on them individually, which is great because you can now see that there's, you know, a little bit of detail we need to add here. Let's start with a very sort of like simple cartoonish bevel. And we can add this right here to really separate the whole thing. Have they fixed sequels for transferring the model back and forth from the... I never had an issue with it, to be honest, man. I know some people did. Crazy man. Crazy man 1995-5. I know some people had the issue with GoC. I didn't. I followed the instructions that said that you need to be on the same network and you need to have both updated versions. And again, I didn't experience any sort of like a problem, but I hope they did fix it. I haven't really checked, to be honest. Let's add another like nice little bevel here on the bottom side. Cartoon stuff always has a lot of bevels. Even Blizzard, they do this like quite a bit with their stuff. Where they add a lot of beveling detail. And what this is one of those things that really allows you to sort of like play with that kind of stuff. It's a very sort of like how do we say it, noble material wood that you can add this kind of details very easily. Bennett Nash says, "Hey Abe, how do you make models look not stiff? And why most of my characters' muscles looks just painted on? You need to really blend them in with the rest of the muscles. A very common mistake that people would make with muscles is that they attack or they sculpt every muscle as a separate piece. They're like, oh, I'm gonna do the bicep. Now I'm gonna do the tricep. Now I'm gonna do this other thing, right? So they treat each muscle as a separate element that they need to sculpt instead of thinking about the whole thing, right? The whole arm or the whole like torso, things like that. So when you understand that all of the muscles are interconnected, right, that's when you're going to start seeing a little bit more of what's the word, a more cohesive like design or a more cohesive execution. Are 3D modelers expect to know everything? If I struggle with realistic weapons or vehicles, or is that okay? It depends on what kind of modeler you're going to be doing. If you're going to be a generalist, you should be able to do everything. Guns, vehicles, environments, props, you know, a little bit of everything. But no, it's not expected. Like, I don't expect someone who's like super proficient at hard surface to be able to do organic very, very nicely. Again, it depends on the studio. There's some positions where that might be ideal. It's like, oh, if you can do characters and you can do creatures and you can do like cars, that's great. I personally like to fill that role. I've done a little bit of everything. Even though organic stuff is sort of like my main focus, I can still do hard surface stuff just fine. Oh, you talk with them? Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. Again, I haven't really experienced that issue. I've got sometimes where I need to sort of like restart the app or something for it to really like see the other elements connected to the network. But no, I haven't had that much of an issue. Oh. Cool. So now all of the wood has like the basic sort of like damage to separate the planks. And now we can really start seeing some of like the smaller details, right? So I'm going to go with them in a standard here. I'm going to carve the first one, which as you can see goes sort of like around. Goes towards the center. And right here on the center, we have a little bit of a space for a little gold plate or something. This is the kind of stuff that you can definitely just paint later on with texture because it doesn't change the silhouette too much. But we can also just add it in just a seconds. 2 seconds. Go there. Now that line right there looks very dark, right? That to me tells me that that's a very sort of like a deep groove on the wood. But then we have other like extra lines here that are not as deep. And we can just sort of like subtly indicate, right? Just to add a little bit more texture there to the wood elements. Jebby says, thank you, A, for all that you do. I've learned so much from your courses and streams. You're welcome, my friend. You're welcome. It's all thanks to you guys. Really, I will always say this. If it weren't for your support, I wouldn't be here doing what I love. So, thank you, really. My little kid, she had like career day the other day at kindergarten. And she was like, I want to be an artist like Dad. It's like, oh, be very careful what you wish for, my dear. Nah, she loves, you know, she's about to be 4 years old, so she loves right now like painting and playing with Play-Doh and things like that. Okay, let's keep going here. And again, this is just like a rough like sculpt, a rough sketch, because we're gonna go really low poly with this like particular prop. So I do want to do a little bit of like hand painted stuff maybe. We don't need that much detail because all of this is going to eventually be baked down and painted on top. So I was talking to a guy who worked at Blizzard, and he told me that sometimes they would ask artists to do a full weapon in a day. So you had 8 hours to do high poly, low poly, retopo, bakes, UVs, and hand painted texture. So he told me at that point, we don't have the chance to do high poly. We just do like a very quick like low poly, just like focusing on the silhouette of the thing, and we just jump straight into hand painting. It's like a lot more what's the word? It's a lot easier at that point. Just going to have one of the best mentors at home. Let's see what happens. Because when I was a kid, I wanted to be a doctor. And see where life brought me to. Not a doctor. Go. Yeah, life is very funny in that way, right? Like there's... You think something's going to happen and then something completely different happens. I was telling this to my wife yesterday. I was like, I remember this was back in like 2020, right when COVID was starting. And I got my first chance at starting like doing YouTube stuff. I was like, I'm not a YouTuber. I don't want to do YouTube. And I was like, oh, we have a stream. Let's go. I love Fridays. I can stream. Would be kind of fun if she becomes a doctor later instead of an artist. Yeah, right? That would be quite ironic. I don't use a Sculptris Pro, Joan Lorax. It's a good tool. I've never really introduced it in my workflow, so it's not something that I normally use. Unless I'm doing something that requires like a lot of changes in silhouette, where I'm like experimenting or need to see like very quick iterations of it, I normally don't use a Sculptris Pro. Okay, this is looking quite nice. Let's open the little hole here for the wood. You became a tortillero. Is that a joke, Beckerdrop? Because I know where you are in the globe, right? In the world. So if you're making tortillas over there and they're selling, dude, that's amazing. No joke. So you're really, yeah, dude, that's amazing. I've heard a lot of people do that, right? Like they travel to a different country and they use their local cuisine or their culture's cuisine to make a living. That's great, man. There we go. Nice. The best tortilla of Italia. I'm definitely gonna visit Italy soon. You know, you guys know what? There was a food that I always had when I was in LA, and I miss it so freaking much. So freaking much. It's Thai curry. It was red curry from a Thai like local restaurant that was very close to Noman, and it was so good. Like we went there all the time. So tasty, you know, your bowl of red curry with a bowl of rice. Oh man, so delicious. I tried making it here in Mexico with ingredients I could find, and it was nowhere near close. It was not bad, but so good. Yeah, Indian curry as well. But Indian curry, I think you have a yellow curry, right? It's an Indian yellow curry. It's very spicy. That one's also very good. Nice, Becker. Nice. That's my backup plan if 3D doesn't work. Move to UK and provide them good Mexican food. Hey, Food is I can tell you, food is going to be the last industry that falls to AI and things like that. So there's a lot of future in food. It's a complicated industry, right? It's a very competitive industry as well. But if you can find a niche, it's a very good. It's a good option. My brother-in-law, he had a kitchen for a while. He did well. But yeah, it's a competitive industry. Hey, what are we missing now? I think we're just missing the little like golden thing right here. Tamales. Oh yeah, tamales are great. Is there a way to bring an alpha in and not make look rose? Yeah, you need to make it high res in Photoshop, man. For instance, like if you go to Photoshop and scale it to like 2K or 4K, and then very importantly, don't save it as a JPEG. Try to save it as a PSD file or as a Targa file, 16-bit depth. That's another important like consideration. And if you do that, you should be able to get a little bit more. You should be able to get a little bit more detail is what I mean. Okay, let's set the cube. The golden cube that's down here. And look at that. We've only been doing this for like an hour and we're already in a very good position. I think we're about to jump into what's the word? Into retopology. It's a Dynamesh. This is the kind of stuff, like for instance, this little guy right here that I might just redo very quickly inside of Maya or Blender, right? Because I can way more easily control the edges and the bevels. One of those. We could also use C-Modeler. 2 minutes for the giveaway. There you go, guys. 2 minutes for the giveaway. So if you want to win a full year license of Marmoset 5, thanks to our good friends at Marmoset, jump quickly into the Discord and enter the giveaway. Give me 1 second. One second, guys. 1 second. Okay. There we go. Cool. So, the giveaway. Oh, there we go. We have the winner. Do we have the winner? I think we have the winner, right? Is that the winner? Yes. Congratulations, my friend. Congratulations to the winner. Our winner for this license is Rick Ron. Rick Ron, congratulations, my friend. You just won a full year of Marmoset Toolbag 5. Worth more than $200 from our good friends at Marmoset. They were very, very kind to help us celebrate the launch of our new course, the complete guide to Marmoset Toolbag 5. And they gave us 6 licenses. This is the sixth license that we're giving away. So thank you very much to our good friends there at the Marmoset team. And Rickron, I'm going to be contacting you at the end of the stream to explain to you how to redeem your license, okay? Now you don't have any excuse, man. You don't have any excuse, and it's time to learn Marmoset. An amazing, amazing software. We're going to be doing the bakes there in just a couple of minutes. So there we go. Now, we're going to have one more giveaway, my friends. One more giveaway, and this is for a free course, okay? So as you guys know, we have a bunch of courses in our site. We actually celebrated our 10th course here with the Marmoset course. So you can win any of these courses. The Marmoset 1, ZBrush for iPad, Anatomy, Substance, Maya, Blender, ZBrush Stylized Character. Any of these courses you can get for free if you win the next giveaway, which is now on. So there you go, guys. Make sure to go to our Discord channel and go right there. Oh no, they sure are, Friday. No, it's an amazing thing, guys. Thank you very much for this opportunity to collaborate, and thank you so much for the licenses. I'm sure people are gonna benefit quite a bit. I've been using Marmoset. The first time I learned about Marmoset was back in like 2012 or something like that. It was back in Marmoset. It was not numbered at that time, I think. I don't remember. I might be wrong, but I don't think it was numbered at that time. And I started using it. I have a render. Let me show it to you guys. I do have a render. My portfolio. It's this one right here. One of my very first renders. 11 years ago. There you go. Again, I don't remember what version of Marmoset I used for this render, but back then I was already using Marmoset. It's been one of my favorite like softwares. Oh, there you go, Franny. Yeah. I did that was the first course I did. That was for Nexttude back in the day. It was again like a complete guide to Marmoset. But now it's been updated with a new one. So yeah, that's great, Franny. Yeah, Marmoset 4. And the Discord is also very nice, guys. So you should join that Discord as well. People there are very, very helpful. There we go. Congrats, Rickron. Empress is asking, I know you do mentors, but I can't seem to find... Oh, you need to send me a message. I think I definitely need to add a little, like a little information bit on the side about mentorships. But yes, they're 1 hour mentorships. We can do multiple sessions. We focus on like the specific things that you want to learn that I know, of course. Like, don't ask me about like fire simulation and then smoke simulation and things like that, because that's not my specialty. But we can do single sessions. We can do multiple sessions. Send me a message on Discord, Empress, and I can link you all of the information about the sessions. I normally have few spots available because otherwise I would spend like the whole day just like having mentorships, and I wouldn't be able to do more stuff here for the channel. So right now, I think I have a little bit of a slot right there. And also, if you're at Think Tank, if you guys are Think Tank students, when you get to your mentorship term, I am part of the mentorship program there at Think Tank as well. I'm currently mentoring one person, and I think I already have one more booked for the next term. So you can request me as your mentor there as well. Martínez Lisandro, saludos desde Aguascalientes. ¿En algún momento tienes pensado hacer tutoriales en español? I've thought about that, my friend. I used to do them. To be honest, I don't do them anymore because, well, English is like the universal language. And actually, that's one of the advices that I give all my students. If you don't know English, learn English, because there's so many like resources and things in English. So you definitely want to be like proficient at it. However, if you want to have like the mentorship sessions that I was mentioning about, Martinez, of course, we can have those in Spanish. Like, no problem at all. Okay, so now what I'm doing, as you can see right here, guys, is I'm going to this wood elements, and I'm just giving them a little bit more detail. This detail is detail that we're going to be able to bake down into our high poly. And it could also potentially be used for like the texturing stages. It's just a way to differentiate some of the areas a little bit, but they don't look too obvious. You can spend so much time sculpting. Sculpting is such a fun part of the process, right? Oh wow, I didn't know that. I'm at T. Very cool. Yeah. It's a very cool school, guys. Very cool school. Think Tank. There's a lot of great schools out there. But yeah, I'm part of the mentorship. It's my third term or second term. I think I'm about to go into the third term of being a mentor there. Been a great opportunity as well. When you're following one reference, do you try to do it one-to-one, or do you go with... I try to do it as close as possible, but I understand that there might be like a couple of things that might change. That's very, very normal. And you can see this everywhere. Like if you go and look like at Disney like movies and you see, I don't know, like a Tangled or Frozen, you're going to see that the original concept arts for like the princesses, they're not always one-to-one. There's always like small little changes. You can see this in Toy Story as well. So it's more about capturing the essence of the concept, right? If you capture the essence of the concept, you get a nicer result, or you approach the original intention of the artist and what the director approved. And if you do that, I would say you're already on the other side. Like it tends to be enough. I was just watching your free session from Blender AAA game asset course from your website, planning to purchase the course. There you go, Pentol. Yeah, that was the first course that we did under this new brand, under my personal brand. It was the Blender course. We're about to have our second anniversary in June. We're very, very close to that one as well. And that one has been one of our best seller courses. The thing I love about that course is the fact that it covers the whole pipeline, right? So it explains low poly, high poly, texturing, retopo, bakes, UVs, render, everything. I would say it's a very, very sort of like a complete package to understand the general principle that you can follow in the creation of props for games. Let's see. Did you ever deal with wrist pain? No, but I've dealt with back pain, unfortunately. So that's why I got myself this like a chair that's a little bit more cushioned. Make sure it's not as uncomfortable. I've dealt, you know what? This is very funny, but I think this is more of maybe a YouTuber or streamer thing. A neck pain, because I'm constantly looking to this screen, which is the screen where I have the chat. And right now it's actually closer because I got my tablet right here and the screen right here. So it's not that far, from one point to another. But back then I used to have the monitor like all the way over here, so I would be doing this movement a lot and I was getting like a very, very bad like neck pains. Now I think it's a little bit more manageable, again, because it's a little bit closer. I tried using a stand-up desk, but I didn't like it, to be honest. I felt very uncomfortable. So what I try to do now is just like stand more frequently throughout my like working sessions. Give me 1 second, guys. Actually, I forgot. Okay, 1 second. Okay, cool. There we go. Trick says, I have neck pain for having multiple monitors and looking to the right as well. Yeah, like that movement. Very, very bad. So here's what I have right now. Let me see if I can show you. Because I've been like, this is an advice that I'm going to give you guys, like all of you. Our body, we need to take care of our body, because even if we love doing 3D, I mean, I'm 32. I'm going to be 33 this year, but I'm not sure how my body's going to hold up in 20 years, right? So if I want to get there as best as possible, I need to take care of. So for instance, this thing, I got like a neck thing. This is headache. The brand, someone was asking about the brand. This is a Mexican brand. It's called Balam Rouge. I mean, it's like Chinese or something, but it's good quality, so I like it and not too expensive. And then what I did is I have like a cushions on the armrests. I use these things as well for like, this is for the mouse and this is for the keyboard to rest my wrist as well. And then this is the thing, right? Oh. So this monitor right here, see that? It's on an arm, so I can position this wherever I need to. And that way, when I'm not recording, I'm gonna show you, it's gonna look very funny. But when I'm not recording, I have the monitor like this, right? Like one on top of the other, so I don't have to move my head too much. And when I'm recording, of course, I move it to the side so that I can read the chat. But again, it's not too far away. So that's like a one of those like mechanical arms. I know some people use those mechanical arms for the tablet. I don't like that. Again, it doesn't like feel comfortable to me. But yeah, that's another one that you could do. Let's see. Yeah, if you are, let's go to the mainstream. So if you go to the Discord channel here, and you go here, you go to the events tab, and this is where you can get the free course, my friends. The free course. Sorry, still says, I always have to remind myself to sit up straight. Don't want to wreck my back. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, ergonomics are a really good investment, guys. Like a really, really good investment. I know some people use the mouses that are like sideways. Again, I don't find those as comfortable. But anything that you can do to work comfortably is always a good idea. Yeah, no, I showed the picture. I'll eventually show a picture, but I have a picture of how my setup was when I started like 5 years ago. It was such a bad setup. Now it's a nicer setup. Right now I have a mess because I've been again rebuilding the computer. But yeah, it's such a one of those things. Okay, cool. So that's it. We are, I think, in a good position. We can now go into what's the word? Into Maya. Let's do, should we do the retopology in Maya or should we do the retopology in the, what's the word, in freaking Topogon? Let's do Topogon. Yeah, I have like a 3D cave. That's right, Mango. Yeah, let's do Topogon. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I am going to merge this fish down. So merge down, hit OK. There we go. And I'm going to rename it. So I'm going to call this fish. And then I'm going to rename this. It's going to be called a wood. And I'm gonna rename this. This one's gonna be called light or whatever. And we're gonna go right now. As you can see, the total points, we're not even above 1 million, so this is perfectly fine. So I'm just gonna go C plugin, and then we're gonna do FBX export all, and we're gonna export. Set this on the desktop for now. A little folder there to keep things organized. Let's call this fish. Hi. There we go, the fish. And there's go. Yeah, you guys, like, another advice I can give you is, and I know I'm not the best example to say this because I'm quite chubby, but eating well, doing exercise, all that kind of stuff, if you can afford, it's always a good option. I bought an Anda seat for 800 and it works wonders for posture. I have to research which that one is. Hey, that's great, Wolf Girl. That's awesome. Awesome. I thought about all good, man. All good. So this is Topogun. Amazing software as well for Retopology. And the reason why this is so good is because it's so fast, right? Okay. It got a... It's very weird that they imported it this way. Is I working that way here? No. Plugin. Options. Maya Y up. Maya C up. Maya Y up. Maya Y up. Front vector C. No, this is... Oh, I was working. Can you see that? So I was working with this thing like pointing up. Very easy fix. If you need to move all of your subtools at the same time, click on this icon right here and then just rotate. That's it. So now it's facing the right way. So again, C plugin, all that stuff is good. Let's export. There we go. That's one very quick way to do that. File and then reload reference mesh. There we go. Cool. So I'm gonna turn off the wood and the plate so that we can focus on the fish. And I'm just gonna click on this plus sign to start our like a retopology process. And the reason why this software is so powerful is because I can very quickly lay out all of the information. Justice says, did you study at Noman? I thought it was just a site with courses. How long? Oh yeah, I did, man. No, it has a school in a big campus. They recently moved to North Hollywood, I think. I went there from 2013 to 2016. So I graduated almost 10 years ago from there. So I'm going to use this like circle tool, for instance. And I'm going to start here. I'm going to draw a circle. And I'm going to position this right around there. And once I'm happy, I can just say create geometry. And look at that. Great, right? Like so good. So freaking good. Now we're going to keep this low poly. So I'm going to go really low poly. This is supposed to be like a game asset, again, for like World of Warcraft or something like that. So the main thing here is I just need to make sure that this flows as nice as possible. And this is, in my opinion, the strongest thing about, again, like Topogun. The fact that you can worry or you can just like think about how to like create the flow of the topology first. And then you start joining and making sure everything flows in the right direction. And it's very fast. Like right now we're working with this mesh. It's not even decimator, right? And I can very quickly lay all of these points down and start thinking about how I need everything to sort of like flow, right? So this is, I would say, one of the magics of this software. Yeah. Like if you're used to doing retopology in Maya, you're in for a big upgrade with this one right here. The cool thing is, again, as you add more points, the topology sort of like updates itself, which is exactly what we want right here. You can very quickly draw triangles, which again saves us quite a bit of time. So this is another one of my sort of like secret weapons. Really like using Topogun for my retopology process. Now, don't worry too much about triangles. It's another question or another thing that people really get very aggressive about. We've had several shorts like on Instagram and YouTube where I'm doing like triangles. It's like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Look at that topology. It has triangles. It's like, dude, chill down. Triangles are fine. Can I kill you? They're your friends. You just need to know where to use them. If you don't know where to use them, then one that doesn't know his shit is someone else, right? Yeah, they're fine. Triangles are fine. A matter of understanding where we need to have them. Do you determine your seams from the very beginning? Sort of, yeah. So at this point, I already know that this is going to have a seam going straight down the middle. That's, to me, a very obvious, like, a place to have a seam, right? So I can just start, like, pushing all of these lines, because I know that that's going to be, like, the general flow of the topology for this particular, like, character. And once I know that that's going to be, like, the main seam line, now I start adding all the different elements. And here's where I need to decide, okay, do I want a little bit more resolution so that, like, for instance, the belly here looks a little bit rounder? And if I do, I just add the extra lines. Again, it becomes a very sort of like a simple process, I would say. Atharva says, if I buy your Retopology class, do I need to have Topogon? You can do it in any software. That's one of the first things that I mentioned on the course. So the course is, like, the principles that we teach on that course are applicable for any, like, Retopology software. You could even do Retopology inside of ZBrush if you want to. I wouldn't, like, necessarily recommend it because it's a little bit more tedious, but it's totally doable. But you will get the most if you use Topogon. Now, we do have a cool thing. If you buy the Topogon course, you get access to a discount as part of for like a student, what's the word? Connection that we have with the Topogon guys. So you can buy your own license of Topogon at a nicely discounted price. One of the perks of our little school right there. Topogon course is there. Yeah, that's the Retopology one. Exactly. Okay, so for instance here, I really want to capture this little, like, separation. I know it's not, like, completely necessary, but I feel like it can really help. So I'm going to add a couple of extra points right there to capture, again, that little, like, bump. So that when we do the texturing, we can paint that with a little bit of a shadow. I buy the full version without this information. Oh, dude. I think it's like a $15 like save or like $20 save. Well, so that you don't feel that bad, I just want to tell you that the Topogon team is very small. It's like an indie team. So believe me, you're not supporting what's the word, like some corporate overlords. You're helping other artists as well. So you can see that as a small little donation for them as well. They're an excellent team. We've been working with them a lot as well for the past like year or so. They were the sponsors for the Creatures Unleashed contest. I think they gave us like 5 licenses, right? Like every winner got a free license for Topogon. So they've been amazing. No, not subscription based. Not subscription. I'm not sure if they have a subscription option, but they're not subscription based. It's a one-time purchase and you own the license forever. There you go, yeah. Let's see. If they think triangles are bad, we should let them know about rasterization and also trigonometry. Yeah. It's fine. Again, everyone has their opinions. This is what I love about the 3D world, right? There's so many ways to do things that there's no right or wrong way. There's some things that are not recommended. Like, even if I see someone doing, like, horrible stuff, or what we would consider to be horrible stuff, like, imagine super ugly booleans and things like that. If it works, man. Like, I'm not gonna go, like, again, as I always say, there's no topology police that's gonna come to your door and take your computer away because you're not following proper protocol. It's just that through trial and error, we found certain things that work a little bit better than others. If you don't want to follow those things and you want to do your own stuff and sort of like reinvent the wheel, I mean, go for it. Just keep in mind that we have certain like standards or certain like suggestions for a reason. That's pretty much it. But I don't know, there's like some purists out there that's like, no, if you don't do it this way, you're doing it the wrong way. Shut up already. I've always been against that kind of like mentality. Do you give reviews and critiques of people's works? Yes, I do, Jin. I think we do that at the end of the month through something we call portfolio review. We open the submissions at the end of the month or close to the end of the month in our Discord channel. You can submit your ArtStation portfolio or your Behance portfolio or whatever, and we go over them. We have some of those videos here in this channel, and we also have a secondary channel called Leal 3D Clips, and we're uploading all of those reviews right there. So feel free to check that out. Let's see. The Illuminati say that the triangle is your friend. Go. Okay, so for instance here, since I don't want to bring all of these triangles into the tail, we can just have a couple of triangles there, and that's fine. Not gonna kill the topology. You also gotta keep in mind that if your object is not going to deform, right? It's not gonna be animated, then the triangle and the square debate goes out the window. I've seen some horrible topology. Well, not horrible, but I've seen like decimated meshes being used as topology for your texturing, like in photogrammetry. If you guys ever done photogrammetry, you're gonna have to do that because otherwise you cannot like get the mesh to work properly, and it's totally fine. Again, as long as it's just like rocks or ground planes or things like that, and they're not gonna deform, doesn't matter. Everything's a triangle at the end, so really doesn't matter. Is no one enter after school? So, yeah, it's like a university. So they have a couple of different things. I'm not too like up to date with all of their like academical office right now, but back when I was there, they had the 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year program. The 1 year program was all like traditional art stuff, you know, like design, digital painting, sculpture, that kind of stuff. And then the 2 year program was the digital program, and the 3 year program, which is the one that I went to, was a combination of both of them. So you would take the first year of art, as I was mentioning, the sculpture thing, the painting thing, stuff like that, and then the final 2 years, it would be digital art. And when you got into the digital art, you would pick a specific path. And I picked modeling and texturing. That was my sort of like specialty back then, or the specialty I picked. Now I think they also have like a games like track, so that you can do a little bit of like programming and things like that with Unreal. And I think they also have a bachelor's now as well. You can like have your full like bachelor's thing. Let's see. Hey, Ave, is it common that 3D artists are more prone to wrist joint pain like TFCC? I'm not sure what TFCC is. Carpal tunnel or something like that? But yeah, like anyone who's on the computer all day, and I've seen this on like programmers, data analysts, like anyone who's like sitting and clicking all the time is prone to those kind of like things. I have a very good friend. He's actually, he actually lives in Italy, in Bari, or near Bari. And he's a physical therapist. And he gave me a couple of exercises that you can do. You can look them up. I don't remember all of them right now, but it's like some stretches like this against the wall, and then like this, and then over your head, like just like keeping your again your wrists as mobile as possible. Go. Yep, that looks good. I'm not in love with this one right now, so I think I'm just gonna keep thickness there. I've never had that carpal tunnel or anything issue, but maybe that's because of power. Yeah, like if you do exercise, like if you exercise on the side, that's of course like a huge like plus for the maintenance of your body. Lifting, cardio, any sport, things like that can be very useful to keep yourself healthy. Yeah, unfortunately, our career is not the healthiest one, again, because we're sitting all day. But the same thing for anyone. Like, I know a traditional painter. She does, like, oil paintings, and she suffers from, like, her feet. Like, they hurt all the time because she's always standing, right, by her painting canvas. So that's why we gotta be very careful about our bodies, guys. We only got one body. And yes, medicine is moving very, very fast, but it's still expensive. Everything is expensive. Oh. Simplify there with a couple of triangles as well. There's this brush right here, similar to Maya, where we can just press shift and smooth things out, so the topology is a little bit more relaxed, you know. And right now we're only at 340 triangles. Super low poly, right? This is great. Very, very nice count so far. Triangles, no! I'm gonna get tackled one day like, police! You've been spreading the triangle cult. Going down, Abe. 4 minutes, guys. 4 minutes for the giveaway. So if you're just joining, make sure to go to our Discord and Use the cut brush here. Go to the Discord and click on the little events tab so that you can get a chance to win a free course. Now, not every single game needs to be this low poly. I'm going really low poly now because, again, I'm thinking about this fish being like in a World of Warcraft, like Tavern or something like that. And usually in games where you're going to have a lot of players or a lot of elements, you do want to optimize things a little bit more so that the engine can properly like calculate everything, right? But not every single thing needs to be this low poly. Like potentially for other types of productions, you might be able to have like way more topology. For instance, here, like I do feel like this fit is looking a little bit too straight. So I'm just gonna add one extra line. It's not gonna cause me too many triangles, and it's just gonna give me a little bit of a nicer silhouette here. It's not gonna be as obvious. Yeah, we could smooth once a solid mango, but I don't want to smooth on this one. I'm gonna keep it really low poly. And for this particular asset, I'm gonna keep it really low poly. Is there a way to export all the meshes in Topogon at the same time? No, unfortunately there is not, Wolf Girl. That is definitely one of those things that they should try to fix. I kind of get why they're not doing it. Let me explain to you why they don't have that option. So technically, if I, for instance, export this one right here, file, export mesh, save this fish low, right? I think what they want you to do is to export all of the meshes and then click on this and then use this, export all meshes back. So if you export all of your different meshes, let's say you have 20 meshes that you're retopologizing once and you have the 20 files separate on another folder, when you click this button of export all meshes back, then it will go through all of them and re-export them. So sort of like to update them. So I think that's why they don't have an option to just like export every single mesh before you do it once. So ideally, my advice is as you're like texturing, start saving your low polys so that eventually when you finish all, you already have like a saved version of all your low polys, and you can click that button that says export all meshes. Like that could help with the process a little bit. But yeah, I agree. Like that's one of those things that I would see. Like it would be a good addition to have later on. Go there. Thing 1, 2, 3, 4. Triangle. 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I feel like Dora the Explorer every time I'm counting. Go. Yeah. You just have to do it once, Wolf Girl, I think. And then after you do it once, you can use that other button that I just showed you, and it should export everything out. Let's see. God Mode says, whose design your reference? This design that's a great question. It's by an amazing artist. Her name is Eva Maganja. Let me show you her stuff because she's got some really cool stuff. Eva Maganja. So she's got some really cool like hand painted stuff, and I was looking at her art station. I found this one. This is from like 6 years ago. really cool, right? It's like, oh, that's awesome. I'm gonna do it. She's got some really nice stuff here. Bows and weapons. Another fish right there. Very talented artist. Eva Maganja. Shout out to her. Let's see. You use triangles for places where they wouldn't have that many movements for animations, right? Yeah. And again, as I was mentioning, God Mode, since this character is not going to be animated, right? It's not going to move. It's going to be a static thing on the wall. Or even if it moved, like, as you mentioned, like very correctly, it's not going to be deforming too much. Then I don't care. I really don't care about triangles. Okay, here, I'm going to show you a trick here. We have a very nice line going down the middle, and I would like to keep that line going. So I'm just going to add another triangle right there, right? And that allows me to continue having a symmetrical line down the middle without really affecting anything else that we're doing. You can see that the mesh got like completely like messed up right there. I don't care, because since we're going to be doing hand painted with this thing,
¿Quieres empezar una carrera en tecnología?
No, I don't want to start a career in technology. I'm already there. Thank you. There you go. So since we're gonna be doing hand painted, oh yeah, we got the winner already. No, that was fast. Oh, yeah, we do. Edil, congratulations, my friend. Congrats on winning the premium course. I will be contacting you at the end of the stream, and you can pick whichever one you want from our courses. And for everyone else, guys, remember that we have a free course, the Portfolio Presentation Workshop. That one's on the second page of the courses, because now we have 10 courses, so it got pushed to the next page. And that course is specifically designed for those who are preparing their portfolios and who want to showcase in the nicest way possible. Why would someone sculpt a whole character on Maya? Is there anything that made him prefer Maya over ZBrush? Because I see architect. I don't think. I'm gonna have to see some like making ofs. They animate in Maya. I'm pretty sure that that's the case. I'm not sure they would sculpt all of them in Maya. I mean, if they're doing like very low poly stuff, or they want to have like very specific things, I'm pretty sure they used ZBrush, right? They did from zero in Maya? Really? Oh, I mean, props to them. So they skip retopology. Yeah. I mean, you can box model everything. And I guess that makes sense. Because if they're going to be doing hand-painted stuff, then the detail is going to be taken care of from in the texturing department. So, yeah, as you say, you could potentially save a what's the word? A step there on the retopology. Interesting. I'm going to have to do a little bit of research on that. That's the way I learned when I first learned 3D. Like, I was doing everything inside of Maya. But after I learned ZBrush, like nowadays, at least for me, again, as I was mentioning, everyone has their own workflow. I find it a lot faster to just do my high poly in ZBrush and then do this retopology stage. A lot of people don't like this retopology stage. I don't mind it, to be honest. And there's even some like automatic tools that can help you out in the process. So I guess it all depends on the production. That's something you guys need to understand. When you get into a studio or when you're working on a project, everyone will have different rules and different ways of doing things. Even from simple things like how they name their files, how they organize their like assets and things like that. And you need to adapt to that, okay? So you cannot just go into a new studio or a new project and be like, oh no, this is how I do stuff and I'm not gonna follow new rules. No, you're gonna get fired immediately. So when you are when you're joining again like a studio or a project, you always need to adapt to what the project is doing, okay? Because you are the newcomer, you're the guy who's getting invited to that project. So you need to be adaptable or flexible to those kinds of things, okay? I've had some, like, it never happened to me directly, like me hiring someone, but it happened to me in a couple of projects where I was brought in with other guys, and some of the other guys were, like, very divas. It's like, oh, no, I do it this way, and if I cannot do it that way, then I don't want to work here. It's like, oh, well, there's a lot of other people who will be, who would like to work here, so thank you for your time, and we'll see you another time. And it was very, very, like, sad to see someone go because of, I don't know, ego or inflexibility or things like that. So always try to be as flexible as possible. Of course, like if they tell you, oh, you need to use like pirated software and things like that, it's like, no, that's a red flag. But there's things that you can definitely be flexible with. Go inside the mouth very quickly, creating a small little loop right there where things are gonna get combined. I don't like having a triangle on the loop, so I'm gonna just move it a couple of points up. Looks good. At this point right here, I know I'm gonna struggle with because it gets very, very thin. So I'm just gonna, like, eventually inside of Maya, just extrude that and connect it. But yeah, that seems like it. I think that's the whole thing. So I'm gonna say File, export mesh back. That should have exported the thing. I'm still gonna save this scene. This fish Retopo. There we go. Yes, I've seen the book, man. I've seen the Arcane Art book. I haven't like studied all of it or like gone through all of it, but I've seen several of those things. Does topology replace the sculpting underneath? It will be used to bake the information from underneath on top of it. So we will project all that information into this model right here. And this model is only 521 triangles, and we could potentially like simplify this even more. But I think it's fine. As long as we keep the whole thing under 5K, I think we're going to be in a good position. Now let's do the retopology for this thing right here real quickly. Got me. Yeah, you need to join the Discord to be able to participate, man. You need to join the Discord. Retopology and Topogon looks so smooth. It's always a struggle doing retop. Yeah, it's not that bad. Like there's certain things that are like doable inside of Maya, but yeah, I agree. Maya is it has its things, right? So let's go to the wood. I'm gonna add a new point here. Oh my god, with this freaking app. I promise I'll get like YouTube Premium next time, guys. There we go. Are you going to texture this model during this stream? I'm gonna try. I mean, we're barely 1.5 hours into the stream, so we're very close to getting into the texturing stage. I think we'll get there, to be honest. So yeah, that's the plan. We're gonna stream until probably like 1 p.m. Okay, so this is a big question. What do we do with these things right here? Well, it depends. If we want to have like a super nice topology and super nice silhouette, we could potentially retopologize each individual element, but we're gonna waste a lot of like texture space on the inside of things. So in this particular one, even though we will sacrifice a little bit of silhouette, I'm just gonna go across like that, okay? So I'm just gonna go across the whole thing. And yes, again, as I'm mentioning, this is gonna sacrifice a little bit of silhouette, but it's gonna keep it a little bit more optimized. And this will be a decision that you're gonna have to make per project. Certain projects will tell you, no, we care about like the quality of things. So we wanna have like a very nice, like silhouette. And some others will be like, no, we cannot afford to have that many polygons, so just capture all of that information in the textures, right, on the normal maps and things like that. Again, that's going to be project dependent. We are listening to Sessions Diana, a creator safe collection by Riot Games. It's my favorite one to use for streaming because, first of all, it's free, so we don't get any copyright strikes when we re-upload this thing or when we're streaming. And second of all, it's very cool, right? It's a very chill music, I would say. For instance, here, big square. We don't need to have uniform squares everywhere, especially on areas like this where there's not a lot of information. So we can have this very, very cleanly like this. Whenever you have a curve like this one, my rule of thumb is to have at least 3 points. Okay? 3 points will give you the first sort of like basic curve that you can get to sort of like capture that like silhouette information. Sometimes you're gonna need more. Sometimes you're gonna need not less, because you cannot have a curve without 3 points. That would just be an angle. Since here, if I need another little extra element just to capture that, that could be worth it. I really like that little like cavity that we get there, so I am gonna capture that one in my silhouette. I'm gonna go in there. I feel like that could potentially be a nice little like addition to, yeah, like the painting process and the texturing. But there's gonna be others that are not gonna be as important. Just albedo. For this one, I want to do just albedo. We will use the normal map for a couple of things to extract some information, but eventually I just want to use albedo. Yeah, I want to use this as a little bit of an update to what we did. Who here has seen the hand-painted style like thing that I did with its Substance a couple of years ago? It was one of the first videos I think we did. But in that video, we do like a bust of an orc, and I show you how to do a very like hand-painted style approach in Substance. There's a book called Color, Light, and Magic. This one. So this is one. No, it's not that one. Yeah, this is one. Light. This is like photography light. And then there's another one. There's like a dinosaur on the cover. I don't remember. This one, Color and Light by James Gurney. It's cool. I like this one. The only thing I don't like is I do feel like it glosses over a lot of stuff. Like it doesn't explain how to do it. It just explains what it is. So it's more like theory rather than practice. This one I've seen. I have not actually like gone through it, but I've heard that this is good as well. this Artist Master series by 3D Total that covers things a little bit better. But anything that you can find about like digital painting, there's a lot of information in digital painting because they need to be masters of light. So all of those are really good. No, yeah, he's a great artist. I'm just saying that on the book, I did feel like I would like for things to be explained more in how to do it, not just why we do it. But yeah, that's a great resource. It's a very classical one as well. Like a lot of people have used it. Oh, there we go. You guys are gonna see something that I'm about to do. And you're gonna be like, what is this? Guy is crazy. Why is he doing that? When I tell you, oh, believe me, that's a very efficient way to do it. A lot of people are gonna freak out a little bit. Yeah, there you go, man. You're welcome. Can you maybe show an example how you would retopologize if you had to capture those details? Yeah, it's like I did here. Like I would just add more points and more lines to really go in there and capture the silhouette of the objects. But for instance, this one right here, I'm not gonna capture that. I know it changes the silhouette, but I just want to bake that information down. Yes, it will not be as complex as actually capturing it, but it will also be a little bit more performance oriented. For instance, this one right there, weird triangle that we're gonna have. I'm actually a little bit worried about the shading that we might get that particular piece, but let's try. And that's the fun thing you're gonna see as soon as we get into Marmoset. That's the fun thing about Marmoset. We are gonna see in real time how the bakes look, and if we need to fix something on the bakes, we can use some of the tools that we have there, like the paint offset mask or the skew mask, to modify how those things are gonna look. Like that one right there. Like that one is also a piece that I feel like it might be worth capturing, right? Like this little triangle right there. So I'm not gonna capture it like perfectly, but I'm just gonna go in there a little bit. That, right? I need to add another line to get that sort of like depth right there. And the bake is what's gonna tell us whether we did it right or not. 3D, and this is something that you guys need to understand. 3D is a very sort of like
This is Dan. He is creating a website contact form without elements.
3D is a very sort of like trial and error process. Of course, there's things that you should not be doing trial and error for. But there's gonna be a lot of times where you might need to do it, and you're just like, okay, let me do the bake, and if it doesn't work, I'll go back to Retopo, fix the UVs a little bit, adjust here or there, or even sometimes just like paint the bakes in Photoshop to fix them. We do a little bit of that in the Marmoset course, and that's normal. That's normal. A lot of people are very scared of things not going out or not working perfectly from the very first time. It's absolutely normal, guys. Believe me, it's completely normal for things not to be perfect the first time. And if you don't believe me, ask anyone who's doing like animations or simulations how many times they need to tweak values and tweak elements, run caches, run tests, see that something is like not working, and then doing it again. Again, it's very common. That's why 3D can be expensive in productions, right? In big movies, big productions, it can take a lot of time to do everything because you're just trying and seeing what works. What did you split that face into two triangles? Which face? This one? I'm not sure which one, but there's something called non-manifold faces. I'm going to explain that once we get into Maya, okay? Just remind me in a couple of minutes when we get there for the UVs. Because there are some faces that are trying too hard to be a triangle, and that can freak out certain things in terms of like retopology. So I'll explain how that works in just a second. All of this is pretty much a straight line, right? Here, for instance, silhouette changes a little bit weirdly. We have like this sort of like interesting shape. It's like a triangle, right? That one right there. Let's capture that triangle. And there we go. So that's pretty much it. Now here, go to the center, and it's just a matter of, again, here if we really want to optimize things, we just like fill this hole and that's it, because everything's flat, right? Everything on this is flat. But I want to try to keep things a little bit cleaner. Oh, let's go some of this. For instance, I'm a little bit worried here because, as you can see, we did added the thing right there, but we didn't added the thing right here. So that tells me, hey, you know what? Like maybe you want to add the changing planes right there. Why? Well, so that we can go all the way to the other side. Just create that face. Otherwise, it's gonna look a little bit too weird, right? So we're pretty much capturing a little bit more of the depth of that specific line. Again, since this thing is not going to be deforming, I really don't care about having triangles and things like that. And just for the sake of simplicity, we're just like keeping everything flat. Krusta says, hey Leal, I was asking earlier, when will you make a hand painting course? It seems like everyone wants me to make a hand painted course, so I think I like seriously need to consider that, because the demand for that is quite high right now. Yeah, we were discussing that, man. Like, a lot of people are asking. I mentioned that we could do like a character or like a weapon or something like that. So yeah, I definitely think I mean, you guys are pretty much like asking me to jump and do that next. So definitely need to think about that. As I mentioned earlier, or like mid-March, I'm currently really focused on the project that we're doing for the museum. I'm going to deliver that project next week on the 12th. That's going to be like the inauguration date. So as soon as I finish that project, I'll sit down and I'll like decide what comes next. Which, I mean, the public opinion right now seems to be very heavily being pushed towards the hand-painted course. Well, what about it could be a female character? You know, we do the sculpt, and when we do the hand-painted stuff. That could work. Second. Creature of creature female with hand-painted finish. Not bad, right? Have you tried Resum UV? Yes, Resum UV is really good. I feel like it's a very niche tool. I do have it. I haven't installed it yet. Actually, I finished installing pretty much all the softwares that I have. Here, so we got Fibershop, Gaia, Krita, Maya, Topo, Puref, Marmoset, DaVinci, Blender, Adobe, 3D Code, Photoshop, Premiere, ZBrush, of course. I'm missing, I haven't installed my version of Resum on this PC, and I'm not sure if I'm missing something else. Substance Sampler probably I'm missing as well. But yeah, Resum is really good. It has a way better packing than Maya does. By quite a bit. And some of the tools that it has to like straighten UVs and things like that, very, very handy. Here. Yeah, just across. Like all of that information, it's just going to be baked in. Don't need to worry about it. There we go. Same for this back part, but I'm going to show you another like thing that we can do for this back part inside of Maya. So yeah, let's go to Maya. So let's export this mesh. Let's call this fish. Or there you go. Thank you for the sub, school. Thank you for the sub, my friend. Very much. We're brainstorming, guys. I promise. I can promise something. I have not started any course yet. Okay, I haven't started any course yet. I'm focused on the museum thing, but we've been planning some things. No, man, no. I'm sorry. I didn't know those things. It's a new computer. I told you, man. I didn't know notifications were on. Oh man, that's embarrassing. Anyways, let's go to Maya. Let's go to Maya and do the UVs for this thing real quick. Yeah, no, I mean, we've talked about this before. Here are the courses we've been brainstorming. Creature course has been requested for a long time as well. We got the hand-painted course that people have been asking about. There's the female anatomy course that people want to do as well. And, of course, the environment course. Those are like the... No, we're not leaking those, man. Those are precious to me. No, we have those 4 courses sort of like on the general like idea of what we're going to be doing next. But the order is yet to be decided. We might be able to do something fun. I think combining a couple of them might not be a bad idea. Yeah, like I really like the idea of a creature course mixed with hand-painted thing. I think that would be like very, very interesting. Not after it streams my Manchu, but it will be available later because I need to edit and cut some of the, not this, like this is just a slip, but nothing big. But I need to cut the beginning where there's like a waiting time. Otherwise, people just like skip it. But yeah, it will be available to watch later on. Okay, so let's bring in the fish, the high poly here into Maya. Probably going to be really, really small, really, really tiny. Yeah, that would be cool. Like a mermaid or like a female creature or something like that. That will be interesting. RP. Yeah, I agree. Come on, Maya, you can do it. Yeah, I felt like Tom Holland at that point. Let's see, we got a question here. Says, I have an RTX 4060. Can it work for 3D? Yeah, totally. Totally work for 3D. You should guys try the Stylized on something. Yeah, I did a short and a video about that. It's good. It's not the best, but it's good. It's good to get like an initial thing. Okay, so here's the fish. Low poly, right? And where's the board? Here's the board. So let's go on the board real quick. So for this board, I'm going to do, this is the stupid thing that I told you guys I was going to do. I'm going to press R. I'm going to scale everything so that it's completely flat. And once everything's completely flat, I'm just going to say mesh and fill hole. Okay? And that face right there, I'm just going to say mesh, triangulate. I know it looks like the most ugly thing you've ever seen in terms of retopology. I know. I understand. I agree. But it doesn't matter. The reason why it doesn't matter is because it's going to be on the back part, right? Like this thing's going to be against the wall. So no one's ever going to see this part of the model. It's not even going to be painted. We don't have any sculpted detail, right? Like if you remember from ZBrush, we pretty much have absolutely nothing. So doesn't worry. Yeah, that's the fastest retopo in the West, right? So yeah, it's totally fine to do these things. You do this all the time on like the lower portions of something, like things that are standing on the ground. And you're going to see this quite a bit in games. Like if you ever analyze like some of the meshes that you see in games, that's again very, very common to see. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So now let's go to the fish. And the fish is interesting because the fish actually goes through the element, right? So I'm going to grab this whole thing right here. Again, we're going to combine it. Oh, careful here. Not grabbing those. Making sure that we're only grabbing the lines or the line that's going straight down the middle. All of those points right there. Yeah, I think so. I don't think... I think I'm going to keep a little bit of thickness with this, guys. We'll see in just a second. But let me deselect those. There we go. So now we can hit R. Snap all of them together. Go to the top view. We should be able to snap it to the grid. And we should be able to do a mirror, of course, to the other side. Cool. So there we go. This is what we have. Now we need to do a couple of fixes here. First of all, this guy right here. Oh. Let's grab that edge. Oh my god, did it not join? Oh, wait. I think... let's say merge border vertices, and it's 0.001. There we go. So once we have that, we grab that line right there, Control E. We're gonna extrude forward, make it smaller. Control E, extrude forward, and then at that point, just collapse. Get a really sharp point, right? Following pretty much the silhouette of the element, just a little bit cleaner. And this is where we can always go and again fix a couple of lines here. There we go. I mean, it will work for basic stuff, Lord Tellum. It's not the most solid card, right? It's a relatively basic card, I would say. But it would work for basic things. Like if you want to do basic modeling and things like that, yeah. But don't expect to be able to work with like 4K textures and things like that. It's probably going to crash at that point. So it really depends on what you're doing. But even for ZBrush, like if you're going to be doing for ZBrush, totally workable. There you go. Look at that. Very, very clean looking little model here, I think. Now we need to fix this part right here. And to fix this, again, I think I want to have a little bit of thickness. I'm not sure, actually, no. Let's not do thickness. So I'm just going to go manually here with the vertices. And I'm just going to start merging them. Merge, merge, merge. Do like an extra vertex. Let's delete that. And then this edge right here, I think we're missing a little bit of a spike there. So I'm just going to Control E. And again, just combine right there into a point. Over here, same thing. So grab this vertices, merge. Yeah, when I started, I had that solid mango. Actually, when I started, I had like a 1050, something like that. Or I remember like a 960 back in the day. So all of those, merge to point. There we go. So what we want here is we want to have a watertight mesh, right? Now, this is where things get a little bit tricky because on this particular one, technically this is a square. Would you guys agree? But if I fill that hole as a square, that's what we call it. This is what I was super important. This right here is a non-manifold geometry square. Why? Because technically it's a square. It has 4 edges, 1, 2, 3, 4. But Maya doesn't know how to shade this properly because it's so crazy, right? Like we're pushing the points so far out that for us, it's way, way better if we make this a triangle, which is actually what we want for this particular character. So whenever you see faces that look like that, like look that they're being stretched way, way, way too much, you sometimes might want to do a triangulation on those, because otherwise it's not going to shade properly for your model. So that's it. So this one, I'm just going to say mesh display and soften edge. This is going to be what we're going to be seeing in-game. And the one thing that I'm looking for is I'm just trying to look and see if there's any weird areas, like areas that look extremely, extremely bad. Right now, it doesn't. It's working perfectly fine. But what we have here is, or what we can do here is I can use lighting and go to flat lighting. And this is how it would look with a flat light, right? Like right now, it doesn't have any information, but that's fine. I know that this is going to work. We don't really need to keep the middle loop, but if we want to, very easy. We'll just go there, there, and there. That's how. So middle loop kept, right? So it really shouldn't be that difficult to keep that middle edge loop. And yeah, in this particular case, I do think we would benefit quite a bit from having mirrored UVs, right? So what we need to do here is I'm going to grab all of these guys right here, delete them so that we delete half of it. Make sure that we delete all of the ones. There's always like some small triangles here and there that we might miss. And then we do UVs. So in this particular case, super simple. We're just going to do a camera-based projection, and we really don't have anything like complicated. So technically, this is it. We just unfold, and that's it. Maybe the little like fin on the bottom part. I think that one we can definitely cut. So I'm going to go UV, 3D cut, object mode, UV, 3D cut. We're going to cut here, double click here, there to separate the fin from the body. And then we go through a nice little border right there. That's it. Yeah, we can freeze and delete history. We can do that at the end. It's not going to be that much. There we go. So that's the UV for the fish. And now we can do all of these things. History, freeze transformation, all that stuff. Awesome. Now, here's a very quick tip to do it on the board, to do the bakes for the boards. I'm going to go front view. I'm going to grab all of the faces and then deselect all of the faces on the element. So we only have those faces right there. Once we have this, I'm going to say UV, camera-based projection. Okay. So now what we should have gotten there, as you can see, is the UVs on the back part, right? Then I can go UV, UV shell, grab that one, shift select to grab the other one. Or actually, go faces again. That, and then shift select so that we now have all of the faces on the front. And same stuff, UV, camera-based projection. That's it. Control U, Control L. That's our UV right there. If you want to have a little bit of a better distribution, my advice is to go to some of the corners of the element and cut them as well. It's going to give us a little bit of a nicer deformation, I would say. Actually, like that. There we go. So we're just going to say UV, cut UV edges, and Control U. So it's going to like open up the corners a little bit better, and it should look a little bit nicer. That's it. Now we need to do this little plate right here. And we can do the retopology, or we can just redo it. To be honest, I'm just going to redo it. It's going to be way, way easier to just rebuild it from scratch. So, position this here. This vertex right there. This one goes right there. This one over here. This one over here. Right? Thinner. Let's push it so that it changes the silhouette a little bit. Something like that. And then I'm just going to grab all of the corners and double. That's it. If we grab all of the low polys, this is what we would see in the game. On this one, we also need to say mesh display and soften edge. I know it looks a little bit weird on the back part. Here's where we can do a little bit of harden edge. So if we don't want that weird shading happening, especially here on the back part, we can go and grab all of the faces on the back as well, all of those, and just say mesh display, harden edge, and that will create a very hard shaded edge on this area to control everything. Again, the hand painted stuff and the normal maps and all this stuff is going to take care of this, so I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, and then this one, let's freeze transformation, all that stuff. UV, Control U. Actually, let's simplify this a little bit more. So that particular element, we can definitely delete the back face, right? Again, UV, camera-based projection, and just so that it unfolds a little bit better, especially on these corners. Grab all of those, UV, but UV edges. That's it. Easy, right? See how easy it is to make a prop? So it's been 2.5 hours roughly, and we've gone from sculpting, retopo, and UVs. We're about to jump onto the next stage, which is going to be bakes, right? We're going to prepare the bakes, and then we're probably going to jump into Substance Painter to try out some of the new filters and see if we can get something that looks relatively nice. We'll see how we get. Daniel, thanks for the bits. Let's see, would we recommend being a generalist 3D artist or specialist in a certain thing like hard surface or characters? It really depends, man. It's one of those career advices that you're going to get a different answer from different people depending on what worked for them. For me, it has worked to be a generalist because I've been able to do a lot of different things throughout my career. For others, it has worked to become a specialist because they've been able to focus on just one specific type of thing. So again, it really will depend on your experience, how it will impact you, the kind of industry that you can get into, the kind of country you're in. So again, there's a bunch of different situations or questions there. We won't separate. No, we don't need to separate it because it's half of it, so it's fine. The last thing that we need to do here for UVs is we need to pack everything into a single element. But here's the thing. As you can see right now, yes, we can pack it, but we're getting too much resolution for some things and too little resolution for other things. This is not what we want. So what I'm going to do is, this is the back part of the board. Let's make it really, really, really small. It can actually be pretty much invisible because, again, we're never going to see it. The fish and the fins, right? These are the most important thing. So I'm going to make it a lot bigger so that we can fit the fish a little bit better here in our element. And here's where we're going to start seeing one of the first things. Like, well, if we could cut this fish into multiple parts, we might be able to make it and get a little bit more resolution from it, right? So I'm going to keep it right around this size. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the snout right there, and I'm going to cut that. And as someone was mentioning just a couple of seconds ago, we're going to cut the top fin as well. and maybe even the tail, to be honest. So I'm gonna cut the tail here. Of course, doing this will make it a little bit more difficult to avoid having seams, but as you can see, it will also give me more texel resolution here on my map. So this is for the benefit of the piece, because we're gonna have, again, more resolution. So let's back all of the fish related things here on the top of the page. Let's try and see if we can fit them nicely here. Because remember, your UV map, at the end of the day, it's called UV map for a reason, right? It should be easy to read. It should be easy to understand what it represents. So if I'm looking at this, again, in Photoshop or something like that, it should be fairly easy to understand where the different things are. I'm gonna have to rotate this the other way around so that it fits on this area. I don't normally like doing this, because then if you were using normal maps, that could generate a little bit of an issue, but it's not the end of the world. This one's gonna be right there. The little plate, we can have it down here. And then we have this other two little fins here. This is the arm. And let's have it like this. Why not have UDIMs? Because if again, we're trying to make this element for like a World of Warcraft game, right? So you're not gonna be getting, like, they're not gonna give you UDIMs for this. Technically, yes, like if you want to do this in UDIMs, that's fine, but we want to really optimize this asset, right? Like be as optimized as possible. So there we go. We still have a little bit of space. Let's take a look at the texel resolution that we're getting. Roughly. Actually, one of the best ways to do that is literally to check it with a map. So let me go online real quick. Checker. I haven't downloaded on this new computer. I'm gonna download a 1K map. And the reason why I'm going to use a 1K map is because I want to see this. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to assign a new material. They changed the materials, by the way. New material, Maya. Let's do a Lambert. And here on the color, we're going to assign a file. Desktop, we're going to do this right here. There we go. So this is how it looks with a 1K map. Okay, not bad. We get good resolution on the fish, actually. If we go to the texture here, to the place to the texture node, and we multiply this by 4, which is a 4K map, this is what we would get at a 4K map. So really good resolution. It's going to give us a nice result. I didn't want to use the tool, the texel tool, because since we have different like resolutions on the UV, we might get a little bit of a different result here as well. Now, the one thing that I do want to change is the orientation of this thing. So as you can see right now, the orientation of this thing is sideways. So let's move it, and that might actually allow us to make it a little bit bigger, as you can see right there, while still fitting on the element. And there we go. This is one of the things that you want to do when you're doing UVs. You want all of your UVs to be like properly oriented, or as properly oriented as possible. As you can see, this fin right here, I really can't do that unless I move the position of this fin. So if I grab this fin right here, along with everything else, and instead of having it up there, I move it, let's say, down here. Now I'm gonna fulfill that like condition where everything is like going or floating in the right direction. Again, it's a minor thing, but it can really help. What's your opinion on using Auto UV Packer? It's good. It's good if you're doing simple assets, but if you want to be more precise, like what I'm doing right here, you definitely want to like do the extra or take the extra time to really do it. So once we have this, let's grab the fish, and we need to give it another mirror, of course. Merge border vertices 0.001, and there we go. So as you can see now, we have something called mirror UVs. So whatever I paint on one side of the fish, it's going to be on the other side of the fish, which we're not really going to be seeing, right? Because the fish is literally going inside the mesh right there. But if we ever need just the fish by itself, we're going to have like texture on the other side. Any questions so far? Because I know we've covered a lot of stuff right now, which, by the way, as I mentioned before, we covered this in depth on the courses, like the Axe course, but yeah. Yes, you should try to find the Chohi. You should try to find the correct texel density. There are certain guidelines. There's a document that I've shared before on the texel density videos, and there are certain guidelines. For instance, for like a third-person game, you can go for a texel density of 5 pixels per centimeter square. For like a first person one, you can go for like 10 centimeters per pixel square. So it really depends. The only change is how you get to them. So if you're going to assign a material, instead of just doing assign new material, you don't assign this materials right here. You need to go down here, because if you assign this materials right here, they're the new like USD, AGX materials or something like that. And they work a little bit different in where you find them. They work exactly the same as any other material, but they work a little bit different on how you find them on the outliner. Okay. So the last thing that we need to do is we just need to prepare this element for the bakes, which we're going to be doing in Substance Painter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this thing. This one's going to be called Fish High. If you have these things, these are called namespaces. You can go mesh, or sorry, where is it? Windows, General Editors, Namespace Editor. I'm going to grab these two things right here and delete. Parent, merge with parent. There we go. So that's going to be Fish High, and then this is going to be Fish Low. Gonna be wood high. I'm guessing this is gonna be wood low, and this is gonna be plate low. And let's just duplicate that. Let's rename this plate high. And here's what you're gonna do. Whenever you have a low poly and you will need a high poly just to bake something, right? One of the things that you can do is just grab everything, give it a bevel, 2 segments and a small fraction, and then smooth this thing. And there you go. That's your high poly. That's all you need. And you're going to get a little bit of a nice bake onto the low poly. So one of the things that you can do. That's it. Now let me just do a quick check on the low polys. Okay, this one right here, I think I'm going to go mesh display soft and edge. Yeah, there we go. I want the normal map to do the bake there. Again, eventually none of this is going to matter because we're going to be using flat colors. But it's just a good rule of thumb. So that's it. I can grab all of these elements right here, the 6 pieces, 3 low polys and 3 high polys. Well, one more thing. All of these guys, oh no, they already have the material. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. File, export selection. Again, let's call this Fish Bakes. FBX. Very important to export in FBX. Otherwise, this is not going to work. Now we can go to Marmoset. Let me start closing some softwares because I feel like pushing my computer a little bit too much now. We're streaming and having multiple softwares open, so might not be a wise decision right now. Fix it right there. Let me save this. Okay, there we go. What is the map size in the UV duplicate? What is the use of map size in... It tells you, depending on what size you have, what's the textile density gonna be. So if you already know that it's a small asset and you're gonna use a small map, you're gonna get a different textile density than if it's a big asset with like a different kind of maps. Ryzen is better for multitasking, right? It depends. Both of them are really good. There are some benchmarks that say that Intel is better. I prefer Ryzen because I've been using Ryzen ever since Ryzen came out, since the first like generation Ryzens. So yeah, that's what I like. My other prophet told me that UVs should be cover almost everything. How do I achieve that without being scared of scaling textile density? I mean, ideally they should cover everything, but sometimes you're gonna have wasted space. What you can do is you can try to pack multiple objects into the same UV space if possible. And other than that, do what I did. Like just try to scale them a little bit. Even if you break textile density a little bit, as long as the difference is not more than 20-25%, you're gonna be fine. So here's Marmoset, guys. Amazing software, as we've mentioned before. And here's how we bake. I'm gonna add a bake project, and then I'm gonna use this. Let me move this to the other side so that you guys can see. We're gonna go here and we're gonna bake a couple of things. I'm gonna use the quick loader. I'm gonna load the fish. So go here and grab the fish bakes, and automatically, this is the great thing about Marmoset, it will create a folder for each of the different elements. One for the plate, one for the fish, one for the wood. And it will create a folder for the high poly, low poly of all of these elements. Super simple, right? The only thing I need to do now is I need to select where these things are going to be outputted. So let me create a new folder here. Let's call this fish bakes. There we go. And we're going to call them fish. There we go. So it's going to be called fish, normal fish, inclusion fish, that kind of stuff. Once we have this, we are going to just hit bake. That's it. We just hit start. The baking process is going to start. And in order to see this, we just hit this preview material. There we go. Look at that. Beautiful bakes. Super clean. No contamination between the bakes, right? So the fish is one thing, and the boards are another thing. Our little plate over here is another thing. Oh, it seems like our little plate's a little bit too big. That's fine. We can just scale this later. But yeah, look at that. It's just like immediate result here for the element. So what other bakes do we need? Well, if we're going to be taking this into Substance or another software, we can do the texturing here, but I want to try the Substance stylized filters that we saw a couple of days ago. We need a couple of more mesh maps. So I'm going to go here to the maps, and we're going to do normals object. We're going to do curvature, ambient occlusion. We're going to do thickness. We are going to do position. It's another one that we need, and that's pretty much it. So once we have that, just need to select all of them over here. That's it. Normals object, position, curvature, thickness, ambient occlusion, and material ID. Those are all pretty much the ones that we're going to be doing. And again, we go over here, we do preview material. That's the ambient occlusion for us. Looking quite nice, I would say. And if we go to the folder, we got all the bakes right here. Instant bakes right there. Now, what I want to check is, I just want to make sure that we don't have any weird like bakes or any weird like projections. But as you can see, and not to brag, right? But I think we did a very nice job here with the retopology and the UVs. Everything's very clean. We don't see any like weird error or any weird pinching. Like everything's like behaving pretty much exactly as I would expect for this kind of stuff. The use of curvature maps, that's a great question, not big guy. Remember that curvature is going to be the thing that you use to know where the crevices and the peaks and the valleys are on your element, right? So if we're doing things like metal edge wear, or if we're doing things like dirt, we're going to be using that curvature map to get that information from. Okay? So that's it. We really don't need this one for now. So yeah, we can definitely talk about that Dragonix. So the main difference is that there are some types of files called compression files or lossless files, and ones that will have some loss, right? JPEG, for instance, the most common type of file that we see nowadays, is a file that is not lossless, meaning that when you save an image as a JPEG file, it will compress the information on the image so that it's lighter. You can send it faster, it weighs less, but there will be a little bit of loss in detail. Lossless compression, such as PNGs, such as TIFFs, such as Targas, such as PSDs, they will not lose any information, but the images will be higher, right? So you can do this experiment. Open Photoshop, open a JPEG, and save it as JPEG with a different name, right? Like JPEG version 1. And then open that one and save it again as a JPEG with full like quality and everything. The more you save the JPEG, the more information is going to be lost until it's just like a complete mess. Because every time you save a JPEG as a new file, you will lose information. If you do the same thing with a PSD file or a Targa file or a TIFF file, that doesn't happen. So again, depending on how important the size of your files is going to be, you will decide which type of like image format you want to use. Normally, PSD, for instance, Targas, they're very, very good. So that's it. We actually don't even need to save the scene for now, because we already have the bakes, and we can jump straight into Substance for now. Yeah, JPEGs I normally don't use. The least or the smallest file size I'll use are going to be PNGs. That's usually the simplest one I'll use, PNGs, because PNGs should keep more quality. But if you want to go a little bit better, Targas are really good, and again, TIFFs. Why didn't I bake in Substance Painter? Because Marmoset is way better for bakes. It gives you more control, and it gives you more things. But I guess for this simple asset, it could be possible to do the bakes, everything inside of Substance. This one's gonna be called Fish. I'm just gonna call it Fish because it's the low poly version. I'm gonna say File. I'm gonna import. No, not import. File. New. 2K. We don't need 4K for this one. 2K is fine. Let's do Fish. OpenGL is fine. Okay, hit OK. This is what we get. Awesome. And then we go here to texture set settings, and we need to log in or pretty much import all of the maps that we have here from the bakes. So very simple. Normal map goes into normal map. That's going to give us most of the information. There we go. And then normal object is the space normal map. We don't have an ID map. Ambient occlusion goes here into ambient occlusion. Curvature goes into curvature. What else do we have? Position and thickness. There we go. That should be it. We do have a material ID, but I don't think it's really doing anything. Oh, it did. Nice. Look at that. Awesome. It did separate things into multiple IDs. That's great because we can do some quick selections with that one. Let's see. New substance has a new auto cage option. Try that. Let us know. I'll try that. I'll try that. But I don't. It's not the auto cage that bothers me, because even the basic cage that we had was fine. It's the fact that you can control individual cages inside of Marmoset. That's one of the things that really makes it like big, my opinion. Okay, so let's do the wood for now. Let's work on the wood, and I'm gonna start with very basic colors. We can actually sample the colors from the original illustration. So I'm gonna start with a fill layer here. Let's sample the base wood color, which is something like this. I'm gonna add a black mask, or sorry, I'm gonna Control G, add the black mask, and then here's where we can use, for instance, the ID map or the color selection node to pick just the wood. That way we only isolate the wood. There we go. Not bad. Ugh. Let's see. You like the Michael Jackson glove? It's not a Michael Jackson glove. It's the one for the tablet, so it doesn't slide. Yes, we did. Yeah, Blind Fox. This is the final part of the presentation, or of today's live stream. We started today's live stream with the making of this fish, everything from a single sphere inside of ZBrush. So yeah, that's right. Is there any way to avoid that weird border we get when using ID color selection? Yes, you can try to play a little bit more with the tolerance, and I always feel the the undermost layer with black so that it's hidden a little bit. But that's unfortunate. It's based on the pixels, right, of the mask. So, do you know the poly count of the load poly? Yeah. So the poly count for this here in Maya, you can go to display, heads up display, and then poly count. So the poly count for this whole thing, 1,376, 1,376 triangles. So less than 1.5k triangles for the whole thing. Doesn't look bad, right? Like, imagine this in a game. Not bad. Just hanging there on the wall on a third-person game. Pretty cool. These are stacked UVs. I'm using stacked UVs. So as you can see, the UVs from one side of the fish are the exact same ones are the other side of the fish. I just did the UVs for one half and then mirrored the object, and it automatically gets mirrored UVs. Or the stacked UVs, sorry. Stacked UVs. Okay, so once we have that color, of course, I'm gonna go here to the color. Well, we can actually go to... yes, let's start here. So this is gonna be my base color. I'm gonna use roughness, and I'm gonna push the roughness all the way to the top, just so that I can see this as close as possible as it's going to be when we get to like a soft effect. Now let's add some information here. So I'm gonna grab now a dark color, which is going to be my shadows. It's not going to be black. It's going to be very dark. This dark brown. It's not going to be black. I'm going to use a black mask, and I'm just going to use a very simple generator like the ambient occlusion generator. Of course, this one I need to invert. There we go. And we can play with the balance. The reason why I'm using the ambient occlusion generator instead of the dirt generator is because the dirt adds a little bit too much noise. And for this sort of cartoony style effect, we want to keep it a little bit simpler. Now, I am going to play a little bit with the intensity here. I don't want to have too much intensity, but you can definitely see how that thing, really helps bring everything together, right? Not bad. Not freaking bad. So, once we do this, the next thing that we need to do is we need to add some highlights. So, again, I'm going to add a fill layer. I'm going to sample the light color on the wood, which is this one right here. Add a black mask. And this one, I am going to use a metal etcher. Someone was asking about the curvature map. This is why we need the curvature map, because the curvature map allows us to get that nice metal etcher effect. Right? Now, I'm going to get rid of the grunge, because I want to have a very sort of clean-looking metal etcher. So no grunge, because the grunge sort of dirties everything up, and it starts looking a little bit more realistic. So I want to keep it cartoonish with this sort of stuff. And we're going to push this a little bit higher. Something like that. This one, I like to set up to linear dodge because it sort of punches the color up, so it will make it a little bit lighter. And then we can play with the intensity here. And you can see that already gives us again, very sort of cartoonish looking vibe to the whole thing, right? It's not bad. It's not bad. Let's add 2 more layers. This is again from the I've talked about this before on the org thing. Yeah, right now we got metal etcher everywhere. That's fine, Mango. We're gonna keep it like that. Later on we can tweak it in 3D code or something like that. Question: when you studied at university, how much did they teach you to paint with oil? 0. We had a class where we paint with acrylics but no oil, and it was just basic color theory and basic blending and things like that. So nothing, not really. I've been painting like miniatures and things like that for a long time. I used to play a game called War Machine and Hordes. It's like Warhammer, but it's a different like game, and D&D figures and things like that. So I think my little painting knowledge that I have might come from there. So I'm gonna add 2 more layers. The first layer is gonna be a shadow layer, but it's gonna be a shadow layer that's gonna be a little bit of a different color, like this purple. I'm gonna add a black mask, and I'm gonna add a generator, and this is gonna be a light generator. So I'm gonna be using this to move the light so that it's hitting from the bottom, like this. See that? So we're gonna have that nice little, it's kind of like a bounce light effect going on. If we set this to like an overlay, and we make this a little bit brighter, you can see how that gives us a little bit of a different tone to the whole thing. So it's a nice way to add, you know, a little bit of color variation to the color information without complicating it too much. Hopefully you can tell the difference on how that, again, that shadow pushes from underneath and allows us to give that sort of like nice effect. And then we're gonna do the same thing, but now I'm gonna go for like a warmish color, something like this. Add a black mask, add a generator. We're gonna use again the light generator, but we're gonna now make it push from above, like that, right? This one, again, I set to linear touch, and I decrease the intensity quite a bit. So it's just a little bit of a touch. You don't want to overdo it because then it looks like, I don't know, dirt or something like that. So we want to keep something that's a little bit simpler, something like that. And there you go. And here's the cool thing. Right now we're in material mode, but if I press the letter C and we go to base color mode, this is just the albedo map. We're just looking right now at the albedo map of this particular element. And by doing that, we already get again, like enough visual information to understand the volumes of the element. That's the big advantage of using some of these generators to get this sort of like effect, right? Because we can, again, very quickly get something that looks interesting. But here's where the magic is going to happen. And to do that, I am going to go to the folder right here, not to the mask, to the folder, right click, and I'm gonna add a filter. And here in the filters, they added these new filters, which are the stylization filters. And what this will do is it will go through all of the layers and it will change how those layers behave. So for instance, if I grab this, let's say a hand-painted style, everything you can see right there is being affected by this sort of like brush stroke effect. I'm gonna go to the brush strokes and I'm gonna increase the brush stroke amount, and I'm gonna decrease the stroke scale so they're smaller. Right, let me go to material mode, and you can see it's adding something right there, right? We can change the type of stroke here. For instance, let's go to stripes, right? And you can see how this stylization filter is adding and sort of like moving a couple of the elements around. It's not perfect, okay? And we got this comments on the short where I showed a little bit of this. This is not perfect. This is not going to replace traditional hand-painted style effects, because even though it does a nice job, it's not great, right? Like it's still like a little bit weird. Let me try something different. Let me try like this painterly one. That's a little bit more interesting. We can lower the stylization, which is kind of like a filter. Increase the strokes amount. Lower the size. I'm not sure if it's because of the size. Yeah, the size definitely has something to do. You can see how we're starting to get a little bit more of that sort of like effect right there. One very important thing is I'm just going to affect the color information. So let's turn everything else off on this filter. Play around and see if we have something. There was one that I found very interesting, this sunny light. As you can see, we get that very nice effect. And as we start blending this, again, we can increase the scale of the strokes so they look like smaller brush strokes. There we go. So see that? It's not bad. Again, it's not horrible. It's not perfect either. It does look a little bit, someone was mentioning this, it does look a little bit AI-ish, right? Like some of this like mess that AI tends to do. So it will really, what's the word? It will really depend on what kind of like style you want to go for. But for just the basic construction of the whole thing, I don't think it's, again, a horrible like starting point. Like I can definitely use this and start sampling materials just to get like something working. And it definitely changed. This looks a little bit too cartoon and too procedural, I would say. This starts looking a little bit more artistic. Again, it's not perfect, but it gets us something, right? Does that make sense? Let's see. I love a hat painted colors, maybe starting with a simple weapon for getting some. Yeah, that's. We've been getting a lot of that suggestion today, so we're definitely thinking of that. Let's see. This is Arenas. This is on the last version of Substance. Question: were you taught to paint a la prima or in layers? I've been working lately on how painting was taught, and I'm very interested. No. Well, I haven't gotten too much like formal education in terms of painting, so when I paint Beckett Draw, I paint more in the digital like illustration kind of thing. So I start with a flat base color, and then I paint my shadows and all of the dark tones and dark values, and I work my way from there towards the light. That's the technique that I know how to use, which is what we just did right here, right? And I do that for my miniatures. I did that for my background here when I painted it. That's how I paint. I start with a base color, I paint all the shadows, all the dark values, and then I start like pushing it towards the top. So yeah, again, I understand, and I totally agree, because it definitely looks a little bit interesting. We could add a paint layer to this thing, or we can just like lower the stylization amount here so that it doesn't overdo or destroy too much of the original stuff that we had. But I think it's a good starting point if we're like building this kind of like elements for our characters. Now the fish is going to be a tricky one. Why? Because the fish definitely requires some more like actual work. But one of the things that we can do for the fish is we can at least start doing like the gradients of the fish. If you've ever done or researched a little bit about like hand painted style stuff, one of the things that you're gonna find about is that there are different processes, and one of them is using gradients. So you think about values in terms of black and white, and we paint with those values. So that's what I'm about to do right here. I'm gonna start with a basic gray color. It's gonna be like, again, my base layer. I'm gonna turn on the roughness and push this all the way to the top, and we're gonna start building the hand painted style information procedurally, only with values, only with paint colors. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start, of course, with the shadows, as I did before. So in this one, I am going to go quite dark, like that. Add a black mask, and I'm going to add a generator, and we're going to add our ambient occlusion generator. We're going to invert it, and we can play a little bit with the balance, right? To get a little bit more of that effect. Let's add a little bit of a blur, so that's not too intense. And there you go. And again, if I press number C, you can see that we're getting something interesting, because we're getting into this sort of like effect. All of these things, we will need to fix them later on, right? It's part of the process, or part of the situation that we have here. Let's make it a little bit softer. There we go. Let's add another layer. Again, another like dark layer. Add a black mask, and we're going to use another generator. This is going to be a light generator hitting from the bottom. And again, we can play with the glossiness and things like that. We're pretty much building the exact same values that we had on the element, and painting the volume, because this is flat. Remember, everything that we're seeing right now is completely flat, so we need to work with that. And there you go, my friend. Yeah, you won, Edel. Were you the winner of the course? Let's see. Yeah, that's right. That's right, my friend. You are the winner, my friend. Congratulations. I'll be contacting you after the stream so that you can tell me. Actually, you can just send me a message on Discord already and just say, hey, thank you, whatever. This is the course I want, and I can get you the coupon as soon as possible, okay? Congrats. Hey, if there's a quick layering technique I like to play around with, I go with blur slope, stylization filter, quantize filter. Yeah, that sounds good. I'll try that in just a second. Yeah, that's good, Solid Mango. I'll see you next week. Have a good one. So now let's do this. I'm going to add another layer. This is going to be now the light layer. So I'm going to add a black mask. Generator. We're going to go light generator. And this one's going to be coming from the top. See? So that really brings the fish to life. It really allows us to see how this fish is going. It's getting the volume. Remember, we're in the base color layer. There's absolutely no light information right now. Everything is just paint. And we already see this sort of like three-dimensionality of the thing, right? Hopefully you guys can agree that this definitely looks sort of like three-dimensional. And that's the purpose of this sort of like hand-painted style effect, or hand-painted like approach, where all of the volume information, all of the light information, the shadow information lives in this thing. Now, I'm going to add one more layer, and this layer is going to be, again, a white layer, very bright. I'm going to go way brighter. I'm going to go black mask, another light layer, Go another light layer, again, coming from the top. But what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to increase the highlight glossiness quite a bit, okay? Maybe I'll like move this a little bit to the side like this. Because this is going to be like the highlight, right? Like what makes something a little bit shinier. It's one way to do it. And this one I'm going to set to linear dodge. Lower the opacity a little bit. So you can see, little by little, we're building all of the information that gives a volume. It's not rim light. It's not a rim light. It's more like a little highlight light. Because eventually, again, when we're doing like hand-painted things, like if I wanted this to be very, very shiny, what I need to do is something like that, right? Like paint the high points or the glossy points on some of the elements to really make the character look like it's wet, right? Or like it's has water, or like a varnish coat or something like that. And it has all to do with shading, right? So if we start adding this sort of like shades, like for instance there, then we add another one, very like tense focal point. Can you see how that eye starts reading like it's a little bit more shiny, right? It's all about like Becker Draw here knows what I'm talking about, because this has been done in traditional art, in oil paints, in acrylic paints, in pencil drawing. It's rendering, material description through rendering of the volumes and the lights. How do you know how to cut multiple holes on a surface using mesh in procedural? No, I don't think I've done that, Diva. Not mesh. I've used booleans instead of ZBrush. But yeah, you could probably do with mesh. Okay, now this fish is blue. Let's see if we can make it a little bit blue. So what I'm gonna do, well, first of all, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna add just a color layer. I'm gonna add this sort of like pinkish, bakeish color like here. Set this to probably like an overlay. There we go. So this is like the actual color of the fish. And here's the cool thing. Once you have your gradient like set up, it's very easy to grab like another color like this one. Add a black mask. I'm gonna paint all of the top part of the fish here. And since all of the values that we did are already taken care of, right? Like we took the time to create all of the values that we needed. What we can do here is just set this to overlay. Look at that. So the light colors, the white colors, the black colors, all of the colors that we did, they're already there, right? This blue layer is only adding color information to the whole thing. It's not adding any sort of what's the word of value information. It's just color information. So we can very quickly do this kind of stuff. Of course, here we will need to delete the eye from it, right? And then it has like a yellow stripe, so I'm gonna add a new layer. Grab that nice like yellow stripe that we have right there. Goes pretty much like that. So like vanishes towards the back. And same stuff. We can set this to something like an overlay. In this case, I think we can try linear dodge, because it's lighter. Then play with the opacity. Right? And that's one way that we can use to start generating something that looks a lot more interesting. This is not ready. Like if I was doing this like for like the like a hand painted course, this would just be like the very, very basic creation of this kind of things. Because you can see on the original concept, there's a lot more variation on the colors, bright colors, light colors, the scales, right? Like we have this like very interesting scale texture. So there's a bunch of other things that we need to do to really get to that final point. But you can see that this is already giving us a very good starting point for this particular asset. That's it, guys. That's it. We've gotten to the what's the word? To the end of the of our little event here. Let's do the eye very quickly. I really want to do the eye. So let's see, where's paint? There we go. The eye is very interesting because it's got like a dark color here. Move everything, so we're only painting color. There we go. We start with like the dark eye, the dark part of the eye. And then we are going to go for the pinkish, or sorry, yellowish. Right there. We do have metal. We do have metal on the model, but it's on the lower portion, on the little plate. That's the metal part. That one right there. I'm gonna go with like a darker color. We really have that. And then let's go with a light color. This is what I was mentioning. Like, I just add those couple of like points right here, and that eye is gonna start looking a lot more shiny, right? Like, it should start looking a little bit more like glass. Like it's actually reflecting something. It's here. This is why I don't love Substance Painter for this kind of like painting process. Because I like color selection and all that kind of stuff. It's very tedious. There we go. Let's see. Lag, what's up, man? We're just finished. We're finishing this whole process. We went through the process of following this concept, this amazing concept, and we did everything. We did the modeling, the sculpting, retopo, we did UVs, and we were just starting with the texture. We're just doing like a very, very basic pass here on the texture that we could potentially use later to do a more like hand-painted approach for the whole thing. Yeah, this will be way, way, way better and way easier in 3D Code. Definitely. Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you guys. This was an amazing stream. Maria, thank you. I know, I forgot the gold piece. We're gonna that one again. I would just like do it inside of 3D Code. It will be way, way easier to just paint like the proper like painting process there. So thank you very much. I want to just quickly thank our good friends at Marmoset, who were super kind to give us a couple of licenses. They gave us 6 licenses to give away, and we gave the final one today. So thank you everyone for coming. Remember, if you want to support this channel, if you like what we're doing right here, make sure to follow us, to subscribe, make sure to check our socials, join our Discord. We got a lot of information there, and I'm really, really happy to see what we're gonna be doing next. So we had a lot of like good opinions this stream. We're going to be planning the next course and the next information. So again, thank you everyone for being here. Have a great weekend. Don't forget, practice a little bit of 3D, have fun, relax, and as our motto says, always learning, always improving. I'll see you back on the next one, guys, okay? Bye-bye.